the great swordsman of Marvel. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 451 The Sea Turtle Immortal. The monster, realizing it was no match for Chen Feng and Sun Wukong, finally abandoned its plan to devour the sea turtle, resulting in a victory for Sun Wukong's side. The monster, slowly exhausting itself, knew its priority was survival and began feigning an escape. Chen Feng saw through the monster's intentions and didn't want it to succeed. Pretending ignorance, Chen Feng outwardly engaged the monster while secretly monitoring its every move. Not wanting the monster to escape, Chen Feng kept a close watch on it. The monster shouted loudly, "I'll fight you to the death." The monster feigned a fight, but was actually trying to fool Chen Feng and Sun Wukong, hoping to find a chance to escape. In its panic, the monster found what it thought was the best escape route, but Chen Feng discovered it, captured it, and delivered a fatal blow. The monster was ultimately defeated by Chen Feng, and the immediate obstacle was overcome. Sun Wukong breathed a sigh of relief. With the monster defeated, he could continue his journey and return the sea turtle to the ocean. The three of them, carrying the sea turtle, continued their journey. Finally, they reached the seashore and could return the turtle to the ocean. Sun Wukong put the turtle down from his back. The weakened turtle slowly opened its eyes and saw the ocean before it. Overjoyed, it used its last strength to slowly crawl into the sea. Once back in the ocean, the turtle immediately regained its vitality and swam freely. The sea turtle seemed much better and had regained its senses. Looking at Sun Wukong and Chen Feng, it knew perfectly well that the three of them had brought it back to the sea. The sea turtle was very grateful to them and wanted to give them a gift. It spoke to Sun Wukong and Chen Feng, "Thank you so much for bringing me back and saving me. As a way of repaying you, I've decided to give each of you a gift." Sun Wukong and Chen Feng were very surprised. They hadn't realized the sea turtle could talk. After speaking, the sea turtle swam its body, slowly sank, and disappeared from their sight. Sun Wukong, enjoying the sea breeze, casually sat on the beach and asked Chen Feng, "Chen Feng, what gift do you think this sea turtle will give us?" Chen Feng thought for a while but couldn't come up with an answer, so he replied, "I have no idea." They relaxed on the beach for a while, enjoying the cool sea breeze. After a while, the sea turtle swam up from the water. After emerging from the water, the sea turtle appeared somewhat transformed, looking much more energetic. It slowly crawled towards Sun Wukong and Chen Feng, stopping beside them. This new turtle looked much larger and different from the previous one. The turtle slowly approached them, took something out of its body, and presented it to them. After a transformation, the item turned into two white clouds. Sun Wukong and Chen Feng, puzzled, looked at the turtle. The turtle then explained to them, "My two benefactors, look. This is the somersault cloud. This isn't an ordinary cloud, it can travel 1,000 miles a day, its speed is incredibly fast. I believe it can be of great help to you." Sun Wukong and Chen Feng were quite surprised. They exchanged glances and then simultaneously asked the sea turtle, "Is it really that amazing? How do you possess something so powerful? What is your identity?" Previously, Sun Wukong and Chen Feng hadn't doubted the sea turtle's identity, but now it seemed extraordinary. The sea turtle laughed heartily and said to them, "I am just an old and mischievous sea turtle immortal who has gained some spiritual power." Sun Wukong suddenly realized that the seemingly insignificant sea turtle was actually an immortal. "So you're a sea turtle immortal. It's a great honor to see what an immortal looks like today." Chen Feng carefully examined the thing called the somersault cloud. He walked up to it, touched it, and found it soft to the touch. Then Chen Feng stood on it, and the somersault cloud immediately began to move, almost causing Chen Feng to fall off. Chen Feng jumped down abruptly, relieved, and said to Sun Wukong, "Try standing on it and see how it feels." Sun Wukong immediately stood up and stepped onto the flying nimbus. The flying nimbus was very obedient, not moving at all, letting Sun Wukong stand on it. However, Sun Wukong was puzzled. Why wasn't the flying nimbus moving? Sun Wukong said to the flying nimbus, "Take me flying." The flying nimbus obediently began to move slowly, then quickly flew into the sky. The flight speed was so fast that it made Sun Wukong dizzy. He wasn't used to the flying nimbus yet. Sun Wukong thought this was a good thing and was very grateful to Master Turtle for this gift. So he walked up to Master Turtle and said, "Thank you very much for this gift, I like it very much," Chen Feng added at the same time. "I like it very much too, it's very useful for us." After thanking Master Turtle, Sun Wukong and Chen Feng bid him farewell and continued their journey to find the Dragon Balls. Goku and Chen Feng got down to business. Before setting off, they checked the Dragon Ball radar, which indicated they were heading to an unfamiliar village. With a flying nimbus, their speed increased significantly. Chen Feng flew effortlessly on the flying nimbus. After flying for a while, they arrived at the location indicated by the Dragon Ball radar and slowly landed on the ground. Chen Feng led Goku into the village, but upon entering, they discovered something very strange. The entire village was deserted. This puzzled Goku and Chen Feng greatly. The village seemed normal enough, so why was it empty? Goku and Chen Feng exchanged glances, neither understanding what this situation meant. With Master Turtle's help, Chen Feng, Goku, and Bulma followed the Dragon Ball radar's directions, flying rapidly until they finally arrived at the designated location. It turned out that the location indicated by the Dragon Ball radar was a small village. Chen Feng led Goku and the others into the village, but once inside, they realized that something was amiss with this seemingly normal village. Chapter 452 A Mistake. This small village had many households and numerous houses, appearing to be a densely populated village. However, something struck Chen Feng and Sun Wukong as very strange. After wandering around the village for a long time, they hadn't found a single person, and all the houses were tightly shut. This situation was extremely disadvantageous for Chen Feng and Sun Wukong's search for the Dragon Balls, so they needed to immediately devise a solution to their predicament. Chen Feng came up with an idea. They could try entering a house to investigate. Although it was a bit abrupt, they had no other choice at the moment. So Chen Feng said to Sun Wukong, "Since we can't find anything from outside, why don't we go inside and check?" Sun Wukong nodded in agreement, adding, "I think that's feasible. Since we have no other option right now, let's go in and take a look." After everyone agreed, the three of them arrived at the door of a house. Chen Feng gently knocked on the door, waited a while, but there was no response from inside. Chen Feng was very puzzled, so he knocked on the door again, this time forcefully, and shouted loudly inside. "Is anyone home?" After a while, there was still no response. Chen Feng and the others couldn't wait any longer and decided to force the door open. Chen Feng said to Sun Wukong and the others, "Let's break down the door together, waiting like this won't get us anywhere." After Goku and Bulma agreed, the three of them stood in front of the door and pushed hard. They initially thought the door was locked from the inside, so they pushed with all their might. But before they could even exert any real force, the door suddenly opened, almost causing them to fall. It turned out the house wasn't locked. When Chen Feng and the others went inside, something unexpected happened. The three of them quietly entered the house and, after careful observation, concluded that no one was inside. However, the entire house looked very dirty and messy, with a strong stench. This was almost unbearable for Chen Feng and the others. The stench felt like a biological weapon. Chen Feng and Goku exchanged a glance and smiled wryly. Just as Chen Feng and the others were looking at the mountain of garbage before them and preparing to leave the house, an unknown creature slowly crawled out from the pile of trash. This scene startled Chen Feng and Sun Wukong, and terrified Bulma. Thinking they had encountered another monster, Bulma quickly hid behind Chen Feng, grabbing his arm. "What is that? Could it be a monster?" Bulma cried out. Chen Feng remained calm and composed, watching the creature crawl out of the garbage heap without changing his expression. He examined it closely and noticed that the unidentified creature still had its eyes open, presumably stunned by their earlier actions. Sun Wukong patted Chen Feng's shoulder and whispered, "Doesn't that thing look like a pig?" Chen Feng, after careful observation, affirmed. It was indeed a pig, a lazy, fat pig. The fat pig, who had been discussing them and had just fallen asleep, finally opened its eyes. It seemed to hear someone talking. When the fat pig saw the three people in front of it, it was startled by Chen Feng and the others. The fat pig quickly retreated, hiding in the garbage heap, and shouted at Chen Feng and the others, "Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Get out of here right now, or I'll make things difficult for you." This fat pig was really both arrogant and boastful. He was clearly terrified of Chen Feng and the others, yet he pretended to be fearless. Chen Feng calmly wiped his nose and replied in a peaceful tone, We came in to ask about something. We thought no one was here, the fat pig roared. Get out of here. You're not welcome. Sun Wukong tried to salvage the situation, so he directly stated the question they wanted to ask. Do you know the whereabouts of the Dragon Balls? When Goku asked this question, the fat pig's expression clearly changed. His eyes darted around, as if deep in thought. Chen Feng noticed these subtle movements. Based on the pig's facial expression, Chen Feng could confidently deduce that he knew something about the Dragon Balls, otherwise, he wouldn't have reacted this way. Chen Feng asked the pig, "What's your name?" The pig raised his arrogant chin and said to Chen Feng, "I'm not changing my name, I'm called Oolong." Bulma couldn't help but laugh when she heard the name. Oolong angrily retorted to Bulma, "What are you laughing at? Don't you know that mocking someone's name is extremely impolite?" Bulma quickly explained. "No, I wasn't mocking your name. I just think that given your appearance, this name is perfectly fitting." Bulma was adding insult to injury, hitting Oolong's sore spot. Oolong immediately jumped up, wanting to vent his anger but helpless, and could only curse and shout. "You're clearly mocking me. Don't be so mean." Oolong's current state was so comical that even Sun Wukong couldn't help but laugh. Chen Feng broke the somewhat absurd situation and directly asked Oolong, "Do you know anything about the Dragon Balls?" Oolong immediately recognized that these people were also looking for the Dragon Balls, so she tried to deceive them by not telling them anything. However, she didn't realize how clumsy her acting was. Did she know perfectly well that she couldn't fool Chen Feng at all? Oolong denied it. "No, I don't know anything about Dragon Balls." "What are you looking for?" Hearing Oolong's explanation, Chen Feng knew that this Oolong was definitely not simple. Chen Feng didn't believe Oolong's words at all, narrowing his eyes as he stared at her. Oolong felt uneasy under Chen Feng's gaze. In the battle of eyes between Chen Feng and Oolong, Oolong was utterly defeated. Because of her fear, she dared not meet Chen Feng's gaze, especially since Chen Feng's aura was powerful, and most people were terrified of him. Finally, under Chen Feng's repeated questioning, Oolong, being timid, relented and had to tell Chen Feng and the others what he knew. Chen Feng couldn't stand the smell in the room any longer, so he took Oolong outside. Only after breathing fresh air could Chen Feng finally breathe normally. Oolong honestly told him what he knew about the whereabouts of the Dragon Balls. "Actually, I also wanted to find the Dragon Balls, but my abilities are limited. I only found out about one. I heard that there's a mountain nearby called Frying Pan Mountain, and the Bull Demon King is currently possessing one of the Dragon Balls." Chapter 453 Bull Demon King. Chen Feng and his companions had finally found out about the Dragon Balls. All they needed to do was find Frying Pan Mountain. However, Chen Feng and Sun Wukong didn't know the way and weren't familiar with the area, so they wanted Oolong to lead the way. Chen Feng said to Oolong, "You join us to find the Dragon Balls, and you help us find Frying Pan Mountain." Oolong had no choice but to agree to Chen Feng's request. Oolong muttered under his breath, "But I'm afraid of the Bull Demon King on Frying Pan Mountain. I've heard he's very powerful, and I don't want to offend him." After hearing this, Sun Wukong patted Oolong on the shoulder and said to him, "What are you afraid of? We'll protect you. We'll show you our power and see if the Bull Demon King is stronger than us." Oolong nodded with some doubt, but he had other plans in mind. After agreeing on this, Chen Feng and Sun Wukong led Rui Bulma and Oolong towards Frying Pot Mountain. So far, the Dragon Ball on Frying Pot Mountain was the sixth one. To find the sixth Dragon Ball, Chen Feng and the others headed towards Frying Pot Mountain. In fact, Oolong didn't believe in Chen Feng and the others' strength at all. He thought that the three of them were no match for the Bull Demon King. Going to Frying Pot Mountain with them would be tantamount to suicide. Oolong didn't think he was that stupid. He didn't want to die for nothing. So he planned to find an opportunity to sneak away when he brought Chen Feng and the others to the foot of Frying Pot Mountain. But plans always change. When Oolong brought Chen Feng and Sun Wukong to Frying Pot Mountain, he slowly walked behind them, trying to create distance and then sneak away. The reason this mountain is called Frying Pan Mountain is because it's surrounded by desert, and the weather is extremely hot. Walking on it feels like walking on a frying pan. Coincidentally, Chen Feng and his group of 4 encountered desert bandits. These bandits were well equipped and numerous, quickly surrounding Chen Feng, Sun Wukong, and the others. Oolong was terrified, hiding behind Chen Feng and the others, his face filled with panic. These bandits were extremely arrogant. They wanted to rob Chen Feng and his companions, but they'd have to prove themselves. Oolong initially thought he was doomed because of the large number of bandits, all of whom looked very burly. However, his fears were not realized. Chen Feng and Sun Wukong worked together and quickly defeated the desert bandits. Having witnessed Chen Feng and Sun Wukong's abilities, Wulong was no longer so worried about going to Frying Pan Mountain to find the Bull Demon King. By the time Chen Feng and his companions had dealt with all the bandits, it was already evening, and darkness was approaching. Continuing their journey wouldn't be convenient, so they needed a good rest and recuperation. They were quite tired after a day's travel. Chen Feng and Goku prepared to rest, and Bulma put down her backpack and rummaged through it, taking out her refillable capsule again. After using the incantation, Bulma conjured a house with a capsule, exactly the same as the previous one. Goku, feeling exhausted, was the first to enter the conjured house, followed closely by Chen Feng and the others. Once inside, they began searching for food, as they were starving and began to devour whatever they found. Bulma, who loved sweets, conjured many delicious treats for herself. Goku preferred meat, while Chen Feng preferred lighter fare, and Bulma satisfied their requests, conjuring up their favorite foods. Oolong also clamored for food from Bulma, but when she refused, he threw a tantrum, rolling on the ground and using all sorts of tricks. Oolong cried and fussed, "I'm so hungry. You won't give me any food. You're mistreating me. What? I'm not leading the way anymore. I'm going on a hunger strike. You never give me anything I'll like to eat." Bulma looked at Oolong helplessly and said angrily, "Where have I mistreated you? There's so much food over there. Go get it yourself." Oolong glanced at the food on the table with disgust and said in a cheeky tone, "I don't like any of that stuff. I can't eat it. If I can't eat, I won't have any strength, and if I don't have any strength, I can't lead the way." Sun Wukong, with his fiery temper, really wanted to beat up Oolong. He jumped up from the sofa, but Chen Feng calmly grabbed him, telling him not to act impulsively. Oolong, frightened, backed away, looking at Sun Wukong with fear. "What do you want? Don't lay a hand on me, or I'll leave immediately." Sun Wukong, enraged, immediately replied, "Don't think we won't deal with you." Chen Feng quickly pulled Sun Wukong back, then stood up and walked to Oolong's side, saying, "We will try our best to fulfill your request." After speaking to Oolong, Yagami turned to Bulma beside him. "We don't need to argue with him. Just conjure up what he wants to eat now, and everything will be fine once he's satisfied." Oolong persisted, and Bulma finally gave in, unable to withstand Oolong's nagging, and conjured up a lot of food as he requested. Actually, Oolong was only picky about food, so when Bulma conjured up what he wanted, his mood immediately improved, and he seemed as if nothing had happened. Just as Yagami, Goku, and the others had finished eating and drinking and were resting, a sound came from outside. Chen Feng immediately became alert. A sound outside was not good news. Chen Feng and Goku went out to investigate. They arrived at the door and saw someone waiting outside. When the person turned around, Chen Feng and Goku recognized him as Yamcha. They didn't know Yamcha's purpose. Yamcha walked up to them and said, "Are you going to Frying Pan Mountain?" Chen Feng was puzzled. How did Yamcha know their destination? What was Yamcha's purpose in coming here? In fact, only Yamcha himself knew his true purpose. Ever since his defeat at the hands of Sun Wukong, Yamcha had been unwilling to accept it. He had been diligently training, always looking for an opportunity to take revenge, but his strength was ultimately insufficient. So he had to come up with other methods. Chapter 454 Roasted Pork. Yamcha's purpose in coming this time was to use the guise of providing transportation to get Yashin and Sun Wukong into a car equipped with tracking devices. This way, he could keep track of Chen Feng and his companions' whereabouts and have an opportunity to seek revenge. However, Yamcha didn't reveal his ulterior motives. He pretended to be kind and smiled as he said to Chen Feng and Sun Wukong, "I heard about your search for the Dragon Balls. I'm very moved by your actions and I support your plan. Although I can't join you, I want to contribute my efforts to represent my heart." Yamcha spoke eloquently and seemed very sincere. Sun Wukong believed him and genuinely thought Yamcha had changed his mind. Even in the end, Sun Wukong still couldn't figure out what Yamcha had really done. Chen Feng had been somewhat suspicious, but he didn't notice Yamcha's flaw and accepted his gift, unwittingly falling into Yamcha's trap. Yamcha pointed to the car next to him and said to Chen Feng and Sun Wukong, "This car is a small token of my appreciation. It will save you a lot of effort." Sun Wukong agreed with Yamcha. In this day and age, almost everyone drives, nobody relies on walking like they do. Sun Wukong felt their method of travel was outdated and that Yamcha's suggestion was very practical. Sun Wukong immediately replied to Yamcha, "We appreciate your kindness. This time, your actions show some improvement. We hope you'll keep up the good work." Sun Wukong's nonchalant attitude left Chen Feng with no choice but to accept the car from Yamcha. Chen Feng thanked Yamcha, and the four of them got into the car and continued their journey to Gulshan. While Chen Feng and his group were driving, Yamcha, using a tracker installed in the car, kept track of their location in real time, following them closely. However, Chen Feng and his companions were unaware of the situation. The four of them chatted and laughed in the car, with Bulma and Goku teasing Oolong. Oolong, quick-witted and sharp-tongued, single-handedly fought back against both Bulma and Goku. Until they arrived at their destination, Frying Pan Mountain, none of them noticed anything unusual about the car, nor did they detect Yamcha secretly following them. Finally arriving at Frying Pan Mountain, Chen Feng and Goku breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the steaming mountain, Oolong felt a surge of heat. He desperately didn't want to go up. Climbing it would be like being roasted like pork, too agonizing. "This is Frying Pan Mountain," Oolong said to Chen Feng. "Now that I've brought you here, I've fulfilled my promise. I think I can leave now." Goku grabbed Oolong, preventing him from leaving. Before meeting the Bull Demon King, Sun Wukong was hesitant to let Oolong leave. What if Oolong tricked them and deliberately led them to another place to play a trick on them? Therefore, the safest course of action was to have Oolong led away to the Bull Demon King. Sun Wukong said, "I'm not joking. We won't let you leave until we see the Bull Demon King. So, I'm warning you, whether you like it or not, you'd better obediently continue leading the way. Otherwise, I think you'll regret it. My methods are beyond your imagination. It wouldn't be good if you experienced a taste of pain, and that's not what I want to see." This was a rare instance of Sun Wukong speaking so seriously, and his earnest demeanor frightened Oolong considerably. Oolong was afraid he would really be beaten up by Chen Feng and the others, which would be a huge loss. Oolong had no choice but to compromise and continue leading Chen Feng and the others up the mountain, eventually finding the Bull Demon King's residence. The Bull Demon King lived in a castle. Chen Feng and his companions, through the guards at the city gate, had a message delivered to the Bull Demon King that Sun Wukong and his group had come to see him. Fortunately, Sun Wukong's reputation was still considerable. Even after so much time, his influence remained. Chen Feng and his group didn't have to wait long. Soon, the Bull Demon King sent someone to escort them to his castle. They were entertained in the palace, waiting for the Bull Demon King's arrival. The Bull Demon King quickly put down his work and came to where they were waiting. His brow twitched, revealing a happy expression, and he greeted everyone warmly. "You've all come from so far to see me. You must be exhausted. Please rest well. I've had some wine and food prepared for you. I'll make sure our friends from afar eat and drink to their heart's content." Sun Wukong replied, "Long time no see. I didn't expect you still to enjoy eating and drinking." Upon hearing about food and drink, the bird dragon's eyes lit up immediately. The Bull Demon King seemed very happy and enthusiastic towards everyone, but it was uncertain whether this enthusiasm would persuade him to lend them the Dragon Ball. If Chen Feng directly asked the Bull Demon King for the Dragon Ball, he feared the Bull Demon King would immediately turn hostile. Therefore, Chen Feng decided to remain silent for now and bring it up in front of the Bull Demon King at a suitable time. Chen Feng gave Sun Wukong and the others a meaningful look, signaling them to keep quiet and not let anything slip. That very night, the Bull Demon King had his men prepare a large table of fine food and wine to entertain Chen Feng and his companions. The Bull Demon King invited Chen Feng and Sun Wukong to sit down and personally poured them wine. The Bull Demon King's warm hospitality made it even harder for Chen Feng and his companions to speak. Chen Feng and Sun Wukong had no choice but to suppress their desire to borrow the Dragon Ball and instead enjoy a hearty drinking session with the Bull Demon King. Oolong, unable to hold his liquor, got drunk after only a few drinks. In his drunken stupor, he started acting wildly, chasing people around and harassing the castle maids with a greasy chicken leg in his hand. Sun Wukong, unable to bear it any longer, walked up to Oolong and knocked him unconscious from behind, preventing him from making an even bigger fool of himself. After several rounds of drinks, everyone was a little tipsy and had eaten their fill, so drowsiness slowly crept in, the time when people are most likely to let their guard down. Just then, a guard rushed to the Bull Demon King from outside the palace's side gate, frantically saying, "Lord, something terrible has happened. The city is on fire. The fire is spreading rapidly and has already destroyed many, many houses. It looks like it's about to get out of control. What should we do? Hearing this, the bold demon king instantly sobered up, as if struck by a thunderbolt. Chapter 455 Reap What You Sow. This suddenly reminded Chen Feng of Yu Huan, because Yu Huan also loved taking photos. He wondered how Wang Huan was doing now. All the contact information she left behind had become invalid since they separated. And what about Soul Song, Elf and Ghost, Rob, and Master Ege? How were they doing now? Chen Feng began to indulge in deep memories of the past. Just then, she was enthusiastically taking photos, as if she were planning to buy all the little handicrafts she liked, when suddenly, a bored voice came from behind her. "Hey, we're really a bright girl." A sour smell wafted in, making Chen Feng feel extremely nauseous, shattering all her pleasant feelings. When she turned around, it was definitely that lewd young man who had just hired her. This poor young man had a companion with him. As soon as Chen Feng saw him, he smiled with silver. "Hey, brother, you said I didn't believe you. Now look, a bright woman enough. A great figure is the key." The poor young man endured the pain of Chen Feng's younger brother, instinctively opening Chen Feng's mouth and looking at Chen Feng. "Bright girl, you're really good at this. If you go with your brother won't make things difficult for you." Sun Mila kept covering up her leaks, turned her head, and started talking to the annoying young man with a sour taste in his mouth. Suddenly, she ran away with a question in her hand, but was suddenly stopped by a lewd young man. "Oh, beautiful, you want to run away? What, you think I stink? Humph. You smell so good. Let my brother taste your frost." Speaking of this group of pitiful young men, Chen Feng suddenly leaned in front of him and reached out his hand directly towards his slave. At this moment, a dark shadow flashed on the filthy young man's body. "Your nectar is all in your mouth, how can you not go back?" As the voice rang out, the pitiful young man felt that Chen Feng's outstretched hand was grabbed by a hand. A bone-like pain made Chen Feng cry out in surprise. "Too much? It hurts. Let go. Let go. Did my girlfriend say that you took advantage of her in the hot spring?" Chen Feng raised his chin and looked down at the pitiful young man. At the same time, the fingers of the filthy young man pushed in the darkness. The pain was excruciating. The young man let out a pig-like scream like the hot spring. Passers-by witnessed a dispute, but the filthy young man was lucky to escape the dispute. Although there was a companion next to the filthy young man, Zhou Dan, Chen Feng's face was to let the filthy young man's farts go. Despite the poor young man's desperate pleas for mercy, Callie only said to Chen Feng in a gentle voice, "Chen Feng, did you eat your beans again?" Mila walked behind Callie and scratched her head. Chen Feng started talking to that poor young man again. "You're too lucky. Xiangs, you'll have to become a eunuch." Inattentively talking, Chen Feng held the poor young man's hand with a dark force, crack, accompanied by a young man's cry of pain, and then suddenly he was on the ground clutching the broken bone of his right hand and crying out. Chen Feng's actions had been transmitted to the resort's monitoring room, through the corridor's surveillance cameras, and simultaneously reached Wang Dongjian's ears. Therefore, the inner force of Chen Feng caused the young man's wrist to break, and Wang Dongjian brought the dry security guards to the scene. "Master Liang." As soon as Wang Dongjian saw that it was Chen Feng, he immediately stood up, not acting rashly. He thought, the monitoring room is really not strong, it didn't even tell me that it was Liang Xiaoming arguing with someone. Wang Dongjian politely said, "Excuse me, what happened?" Chen Feng's eyes were still slanted to the ground, groaning in pain. The poor young man thought, this guy actually dared to take advantage of my girlfriend. I can't believe I just broke Chen Feng's hand. Wang Dongjian's heart exploded. Master Wang was obviously on fire. The following words were too awesome. "You just broke this brainless little thing's wrist." Wang Dongjian was secretly pleased that Chen Feng immediately abandoned the idea of playing with Vimra. Otherwise, now that he was kneeling on the ground with a broken hand, it would probably be his own. Wang Dongjian knew that Chen Feng was a strong and mysterious person, but he didn't know that Chen Feng's talent was so great. Because now it was obvious that even if two people gave Chen Feng one, it wouldn't be enough. Taking a little advantage can see how much benefit he had. Wang Dongjian hurriedly begged Chen Feng for love. "This is because our security work is not good enough." I interrupted Master Liang's holiday mood. "I will definitely improve in the future," Chen Feng said to the 5 security guards around him. "Get these 2 unscrupulous turtles out." The 5 security guards immediately responded and began to drag the poor young man away, even pushing him away. Seeing that Chen Feng's face hadn't yet appeared, Wang Dongjian smiled warmly. "Young Master Liang, it's truly my fault for not managing things properly to please you." Speaking of Wang Dongjian, Chen Feng took out 2 tickets to the resort and handed them to Wang Dongjian. "These 2 premium tickets are a brief symbol of my desire to make up for lost time. I hope Master Liang will accept my teachings and have a good time here." Wang Dongjian was a shrewd man. Before Chen Feng could respond to Himila's set of tickets, he hoped to start with Himila. As long as Li is happy, Li will naturally be happy. Li took the package of premium tickets, looked at Chen Feng, and said with a smile, "Come on, this set of tickets includes 5-star free service. Wow! It also includes a ticket to the Suki Flower Garden, where we can make our own favorite meat dishes. That's amazing. You can go to the Emperor's restaurant for 3 meals a day. Let's go check it out." Seeing the excitement on Wang Dongjian's face, Chen Feng smiled and said, "Okay." Wang Dongjian said, "Then thank you." Wang Dongjian hurriedly reaped what he had gained. "Master Liang, you are so polite." Chen Feng gave Chen Feng a satisfied gesture before pulling Chen Feng away. Sun Dongjian went to see Chen Feng in front of Wang Dongjian, and only breathed a sigh of relief after the group disappeared from his sight. Thinking, dealing with such a rich kid really took a lot of effort. After afternoon tea, the group changed clothes and wandered around. Chen Feng and the others did not return to the suite until 10 o'clock in the courtyard. "How tired. But it's so good." Maylor walked into the room, stretching and exclaiming. After changing into household slippers, she said, "I'll take a shower first. Would you like to come with us?" "Really?" Maylor was startled by Chen Feng's words. Chen Feng turned around and looked at Chen Feng. "How much did you drink tonight, Lala?" "Oh." Chen Feng pretended to be sober and stretched out his forehead. "Why do you want to kiss me?" Chen Feng probably didn't understand Chen Feng's behavior. Li deliberately put on a serious expression, pretending to think. "You said you didn't have a fever or dehydration. Why did you say that?" Himila, who was listening absent-mindedly, finally understood what Li had said and suddenly coughed a little. Chen Feng laughed. Come on. I'll watch TV." Chen Feng still didn't give up, putting his mouth to her ear and smiling. "Are you shy and afraid to eat with me?" Chen Feng glanced at her and gently pushed her into the kitchen. "I don't know how many times I have cooked with my sister, so let's cook." Himila had no choice but to reluctantly walk into the kitchen. She thought sadly to herself, "No wonder I'm not interested in the kitchen. It turns out I often play this kind of game with Sister Sue." Thinking of this, Himila felt no jealousy at all and began to cook sullenly. At the same time, Li in the living room heard Himila's thoughts and shook his head with a smile. Chen Feng found a random channel playing a war drama, watched it with interest, and quickly focused on the plot of the drama instead of watching it. Chapter 456 Real-World Problems. Suddenly, Chen Feng felt an itch in his thigh, and his consciousness was abruptly pulled back to reality. It turned out that Himila had been crawling around behind him, blowing a breath onto Li's chest. "Lala!" Chen Feng turned around, instinctively calling out in a pretentious tone, then suddenly stood up and turned away. "Lala, what are you doing? Put on your clothes." She saw a faint red glow emanating from Li's bronze face, so Chen Feng stood up, leaned against her, hooked her arms around Li's neck, and lifted her head, pressing her chin against Li's. "You know what I mean. Stay with me tonight." Distracted, Himila slowly embraced Chen Feng, gripping his wrists even tighter, hoping for a joyful encounter. Chen Feng's slender frame had been a striking sight, and now Himila had even moved closer, her body pressed against his. Although Chen Feng was clothed, it still created a rather realistic feeling. This feeling was very different from Susan's wonderful sensation, but very attractive. Just then, Nan Li, who had been passively standing there, suddenly felt her body light up. Hodi had become happy. Her body danced instinctively, her touch on Chen Feng's warm body. Chen Feng knew that if this continued, he wouldn't be able to continue. Chen Feng could clearly feel the heat wave rushing down his head, then right under his head. "Oh, again. This little koala's energy is too strong. I'm afraid I'll lose control of this." Chen Feng struggled inwardly, gritting his teeth in secret, trying to control his shoulders with both hands, slowly opening her body, without turning his face, throwing a sentence at her face. Chen Feng said, "I'm sleeping in Fengsheng tonight," S.H.I.E.L.D. said, then darted to grab the door and ran away, leaving behind a frustrated Himila's face. When Chen Feng rushed out of the room, he ran directly to the opposite room and knocked on the door. Feng, open the door. We're leaving. Quickly opened the door. Chen Feng rushed in, looked around, and found Zhang Bao inside. Distracted, when Feng Sheng saw that S.H.I.E.L.D's crotch was like a familiar tomato, even red, and he could feel the scorching heat radiating from S.H.I.E.L.D's body from a distance, so Chen Feng asked suspiciously, "What's wrong with you, Shuangjia?" Xiao Zhao saw that Chen Feng's crotch was swollen and already knew what was going on, and couldn't help but laugh. Chen Feng said, "I'm afraid Shuangjia has been burned by the jade fire." Chen Feng said to Chen Feng, "Haha, didn't Lila want to seduce you?" Weasley did not answer Chen Feng's question, but only wanted to get Wen Feng, "Give me a set of clean clothes. I want to take a cold shower. Didi is about to die." Baby told Shuangjia, "Your sister is about to explode. If you want to force the fire in the middle to be harmful to your body, just let it out." Distracted, Chen Feng was already furious. Hearing Zhang Bao say this, he immediately rushed into the kitchen to deal with it. When Feng Sheng wanted to follow up and take care of him, but was held by Zhang Bao's hand. "Calm down, Feng Lu. We've both been through this before. The volcano will be fine after it erupts." Wen Feng smiled bitterly. "I've never seen such a double lesbian." Bao listened to Feng's words. The locals and people were as helpful as before. "I was just saying this when Chen Feng's voice came from the bathroom." Feng left. "Give me a clean set of clothes," Wen Feng responded, listening to Zhang Bao laugh. "Listen, everything is settled. Soon." Chen Feng walked out of the bathroom and returned to his original state. The absent-minded Bao looked at Chen Feng and laughed. Chen Feng said, "Brother Shuang, since the lesbian took the initiative to throw herself into your arms, why are you still upset? If I eat her, then eating her would be too crazy," Li said angrily. "You know a cat," Zhang Bao giggled. Chen Feng said, "Brother Shuang, I don't understand. Feng Sheng, do you know?" When Feng defeated Feng and smiled and said, "I think Shuang Long's heart has long been conquered by Chen Feng's future wife, and in Suli's eyes there is only her, which is why Chen Feng regards her family." Absent-minded Chen Feng immediately appeared, as if he had found a close friend, patting his warm shoulder. "You speak so innocently," but Fu Bao still laughed and said, "I think the ultimate reason is that my future brother-in-law will only sleep with Chen Feng when she is serving him." Although Zhang Bao said the truth of the matter, Chen Feng still couldn't help but gently hug his head and reveal a bad smile. "Yu Xian Yu is dead. Isn't it used to describe the feeling of a woman's sex? I'm a big guy. It might be more appropriate for me to get drunk." Zhang Bao immediately became excited. "You just said you are a little chicken. How come you're so innocent so quickly?" Chen Feng smiled sweetly. "In any case, my future wife has completely accepted me." I just said this, when Feng's phone suddenly rang. Chen Feng looked at the caller's ID card and said, "It's a lesbian." Chen Feng quickly gestured to Wen Feng. "She must have called you on purpose to ask about me, and you said I was asleep." Wen Feng Sheng gave Chen Feng a good hand and replied, "Is that Lala? Chen Feng is already asleep here." Okay. Goodbye." After Wen Feng Sheng hung up the phone, Chen Feng said to Chen Feng, "If Lala really asks what you and I are doing, when are you going back to find her?" Li breathed. "You can't go back to her side." She said, "I have to go to bed so she won't come directly to this place. By the way, Bao, why are you here too?" Xin Bao said sadly. Chen Feng said, "I don't want to live with Wang Dongji's pretty boy. How would I know if Li has any black disease or strangeness?" Chen Feng laughed. "Anyway, I'll go to bed first." Then Li fell asleep in bed. At the same time, in the room, Chen Feng was sitting on the bed, hugging a pillow, his heart filled with a trace of sadness. "Sweet, I know you don't love me, but I don't mind. I just want you to share my body with me. Because I love you." Just as Li was alone in his room, Zhang Rong and two bandits returned from the entertainment area in the B-section corridor of the resort. After each sale, the two returned to room B, and Zhang Rong went back to his room. Zhang Rong opened the door and found the lights inside were very bright. Li took off the sun that could reach his head and said, "Minmin. Brother." Sitting on both sides, Zhang Minru put the medicine bag in her hand, walked up to Zhang Rong, and gently hugged Li's waist. Ling Rong reached out and grabbed Zhang Minru's waist. Chen Feng said to take Zhang Minru to sit on the side. Ling Rong spoke enthusiastically to Zhang Minru. "It was not easy to open Yang Cheng first. I planned to take you out to play, but I saw you were always folding the room. What fun is there?" I just came to Yangcheng to take you out to play. Who knew you were stuck in the room? What's so funny? Wen Jing said, brother, I went to a crowded place. I don't like going to crowded places, brother. Mr. Lingrong immediately suggested, but there are very few people in the hot spring area, I will beat you up. There aren't many people in the hot spring now, let me take you there. Lingru shook her head, Mr. Wu has left, so I'll sit down. No, I'll just sit here for a while. Jiang Rong saw Jiang Minru holding a sachet and asked curiously, Min, do you know any new friends in Blue Phoenix domain? You didn't even tell me about D-School when you were on vacation. Jiang Minru blushed, shyly leaned down, and smiled. Chapter 457 The Castle Owner. The Bull Demon King, who had been immersed in joy, suddenly sobered up upon hearing this bad news. The wine he had just drunk seemed to have vanished instantly. His mind was now perfectly clear. As a city lord, years of handling countless matters, large and small, had given him the ability to remain calm and composed even in the face of crisis. The Bull Demon King now had to deal with this matter, so he had to excuse himself. He apologized to Yi Shen and the other guests, saying, I'm sorry, everyone, this has happened suddenly, and I must attend to it. Please enjoy your meal. I'll have them continue serving food and wine. You must eat and drink to your heart's content. I'll take my leave now. With that, the Bull Demon King stood up, preparing to leave. However, as soon as he left, Yi Shen also immediately stood up and quickly said, we want to share the burden with our city lord. Please allow us to accompany you. After all, many hands make light work, and we can't just sit here doing nothing. Yi Shen's words were sincere, and the Bull Demon King felt his sincerity. After Yi Shen expressed his stance, Sun Wukong immediately spoke to Ruo. I think Yi Shen is right. We're just sitting here idly anyway, so why not go with you to put out the fire? It's much more meaningful than eating and drinking here. Besides, saving innocent lives is something I've always enjoyed doing. The Bull Demon King was deeply moved, seeing Bulma, a girl, also stand up. He happily said, since everyone is so willing, it wouldn't be right for me to refuse. So, come with me. The Bull Demon King agreed to let Yi Shen, Sun Wukong, and Bulma go, but he was a little worried about their safety, so he instructed them, you must be careful. If things get chaotic, I might not have the time and energy to take care of you. Sun Wukong patted his chest and said, don't worry, we definitely won't cause any trouble, we'll only help you. While Yi Shen and Sun Wukong were talking to the Bull Demon King, Oolong, sitting in his seat, was simply eating. There were many of his favorite foods at the banquet, and he kept wolfing them down. Even Bulma wanted to count the fires, but Oolong only knew how to eat, which Bulma found very displeasing. So, Bulma walked up to Oolong and kicked him. Oolong cried out in pain, glaring angrily at Bulma. What are you doing? Why did you kick me? I didn't do anything to you, Bulma said angrily, hands on her hips. Eat, eat, eat. All you do is eat. You're the only one eating now, how can you be so shameless? Get up and come with us to put out the fires. Oolong looked completely resistant, he didn't want to go at all. I'm not going, Bulma retorted. Then whose food are you eating now? How can you not go? Oro blushed crimson, his face turning pale and then red. He glanced at Yi Shen and Sun Wukong, only to see them give him disdainful looks. Oro had no choice but to give up. He still agreed to go with Ruo with Macron, because if he went alone, Yi Shen and Sun Wukong would look down on him, and besides, he was beholden to them. The Bull Demon King quickly left, followed by Yi Shen and Sun Wukong. They followed the Bull Demon King to the burning place. They saw flames raging across the sky, spreading rapidly, capable of burning down a house almost instantly. Yi Shen heard heart-wrenching cries of those who had lost their homes and loved ones, their cries echoed across the sky. This scene moved Yi Shen deeply. A wave of sadness rose in his heart. He felt profound sympathy for those suffering. Yi Shen didn't dare think any further, he didn't want to waste a single second. Sun Wukong felt the same way. A man of action who acted faster than thought, Sun Wukong grabbed his tools and went to find water. Yi Shen quickly followed suit, grabbing his weapons and joining Sun Wukong in fighting the fire. Bulma, seeing them, also rushed to help, though Oolong dawdled along. Everyone fighting the fire was extremely anxious, working frantically. Although they were moving quickly and there were many of them, they couldn't stop the raging flames. Seeing the fire getting out of control, the Bull Demon King grew anxious and frantically called for more people to help. Among the firefighters, Yi-Shen noticed a very busy figure. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was a girl. Yi-Shen greatly admired this girl. She was playing a significant role. Yi-Shen, taking advantage of the opportunity, slowly approached the girl. After carefully inquiring, he discovered that she was actually the daughter of the Bull Demon King, named Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi was working very hard to help everyone put out the fire. However, despite everyone's efforts, the fire remained uncontrolled. Continuing like this was definitely not a good solution. As the master of the castle, the Bull Demon King had to immediately devise a better way to extinguish the fire. His mind raced. In his most urgent moment, he suddenly remembered Master Roshi, whom he had acquired. Master Roshi possessed a magical artifact called the banana leaf fan. This fan could generate a powerful wind in an instant, almost instantly extinguishing the fire. This was excellent news for the Bull Demon King, so he quickly called his daughter to his side. He said to Chi-Chi, "Chi-Chi, I remembered something very important. There's a Master Roshi who possesses a magical artifact called the banana leaf fan. It can help us put out this fire." Upon hearing the news, Chi-Chi was overjoyed. She was so happy that she exclaimed excitedly, "Is it true? That's wonderful. I can set off right away to borrow the banana leaf fan from Master Roshi." Chi-Chi was a very energetic girl. After hearing the news, she immediately turned around to find Master Roshi. However, in her haste, she forgot a crucial question. She didn't even know who Master Roshi was or where he lived. How could she possibly find him? So, the Ox King quickly stopped his daughter. "Chi-Chi, I haven't told you where Master Roshi lives yet." Hearing this, Chi-Chi immediately stopped and asked her father, "Father, where's Master Roshi?" The Ox King immediately replied, "Master Roshi lives in the closest sea area to this place. I've heard that Master Roshi is kind and easy to talk to. Borrowing his things shouldn't be too difficult." Chapter 458 Commanding the Wind and Rain. After hearing this conversation, Yi-Shen immediately understood. The turtle master that the Bull Demon King mentioned was actually the same immortal they had saved before. Yi-Shen suddenly had a good idea and quickly said to the Bull Demon King and his daughter, "Chi-Chi, I already know who this turtle master you're talking about is. We actually met him once before, and we have a pretty good relationship. If I can go with your daughter Chi-Chi, he's more likely to lend you the item." This news was excellent for the Bull Demon King, who happily replied, "That's wonderful. Then please accompany my daughter Chi-Chi." Yi-Shen nodded in agreement. He immediately accepted this task. Without wasting any time, after finishing their discussion, Yi-Shen and his companion immediately left to search for the turtle master. The distance between the mountain and the sea was very far. If they relied on ordinary means of travel, it would waste a lot of time. Yi-Shen and the others might not even find Master Roshi before the Demon King's castle is destroyed. Chi-Chi seemed the most anxious because this was their family's matter, so she had to find Master Roshi as quickly as possible. Although Chi-Chi was very calm and collected, she was, after all, a girl. Faced with such a dangerous situation, she began to feel anxious and sad. She wanted to help, but felt powerless and helpless. Yi-Shen couldn't bear to see Chi-Chi like this, so he immediately summoned the flying nimbus, which Master Roshi had given them. Yi-Shen invited Chi-Chi to ride the flying nimbus together, and the two of them rode it to the seaside, the reason it could travel 1,000 miles a day. Just as Master Roshi had said, the flying nimbus was incredibly fast. Quick! Yi-Shen and the others arrived at the beach in no time, but once there, they had no idea where Master Roshi was. How could they find him in this vast ocean? Just as Yi-Shen and the others were struggling with this, Yi-Shen suddenly noticed a figure slowly emerging from the surface. Upon closer inspection, Yi-Shen realized that the figure was indeed Master Roshi. Yi-Shen was overjoyed. This saved them a lot of time and effort in their search. They were so lucky, otherwise, they would have wasted a great deal of time. Yi-Shen and Kiki immediately called out to Master Roshi, waving and shouting excitedly, "Okay, Master, we need your help. Master, can you hear us? We're here." Upon hearing Yi-Shen and the others' voices, Master Roshi immediately went to them. Indeed, this Master Roshi was very kind-hearted. Seeing Yi-Shen and Shikai's urgency, Master Roshi asked them, "What brings you here? You said you needed my help, what is it?" Chi-Chi answered Master Roshi's question politely, saying, "Grandpa Master, it's like this. Our castle has caught fire, and the fire is very serious. We've asked many people and spent a lot of time, But we still can't put it out. We're in a great hurry, so we sent me to ask for your help. We need to borrow one of your magical treasures called the banana fan." Upon hearing this, Master Roshi knew that this child was very polite and responsible, so he was happy to lend her the banana fan. However, Master Roshi was old, and he forgot something very important. He no longer had the banana fan, so he couldn't. "I'll lend you the banana leaf fan, Master Roshi," always slow and deliberate, answered Chi-Chi slowly. "I'd be happy to help you. I'll go back immediately and look for the magical artifact you need in my collection. If I find it, I'll lend it to you right away." Hearing this, Chi-Chi and Master Roshi were overjoyed. They stood there, waiting, feeling much more relaxed, no longer burdened by such pressure. They watched as Master Roshi dragged his massive body slowly towards the sea, eventually disappearing into the ocean depths. A long time passed, and the others grew impatient before Master Roshi resurfaced. However, they saw that he wasn't holding anything. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Why did Master Roshi, who had promised to lend them something, return empty-handed? What did this mean? Master Roshi slowly walked towards them again, apologetically addressing Chi-Chi and Master Roshi. "I'm really getting senile. I completely forgot that the magical artifact is no longer in my possession. I remember giving it away a long time ago. So I can't lend you the banana leaf fan now." This news came like a bolt from the blue. Yagami and Chi-Chi stood there stunned for a moment before they reacted. Now they didn't know what to do. Without the magical artifact, the situation would be even worse. Yagami and Chi-Chi didn't want to go back with bad news. But what Master Roshi said next gave Yagami and the others hope again. Master Roshi explained to Yagami and the others. "I see you two young people are very anxious, but you really don't need to be. Although we no longer have the banana leaf fan, as a sea god, I still have the ability to summon wind and rain. If you would allow me to go with you, I can help you put out the fire in this way." Yagami found it both funny and exasperating. This noble person really made them sad one moment and happy the next. One good news followed by another, making their mood fluctuate wildly, like driftwood floating on the sea, sometimes rising to the surface and sometimes sinking. Yagami first spoke to Master Roshi, expressing his gratitude. "We really need Master Roshi's help. If Master Roshi doesn't find it troublesome, then please come back with us." After Yagami finished speaking, he quickly used a spell to conjure the flying nimbus. Master Roshi immediately recognized the flying nimbus. Wasn't this the gift he had given to someone else? Master Roshi widened his aged eyes and carefully looked at Yagami before recognizing him. The young man who had saved his life before. The three of them rode together on the flying nimbus. At its speed, they quickly returned to Frying Pot Mountain and entered the Ox King's castle. Even while they were still in the air, they could see the castle engulfed in flames. The raging fire seemed poised to consume the castle. Master Roshi, seated on the flying nimbus, began using his magic. Soon, a large patch of dark clouds gathered above the castle. Just as Master Roshi began to summon wind and rain, Master Roshi felt his power surge, and he unleashed the Kamehameha, greatly amplifying his magical power. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459 The Ear Monster. Chi-Chi was overjoyed to see the dark clouds, because the castle was about to be saved. A few minutes later, the rain began to fall. A torrential downpour descended directly onto the castle. The fires were quickly extinguished by the downpour. Thick plumes of smoke billowed out, soon enveloping the castle. On the ground, the Bull Demon King and Sun Wukong were unaware that Master Roshi was controlling the rain above the castle. They were confused as to why it was raining so heavily. They were simply grateful for their good fortune, thankful that the rain had stopped the fire. Only after seeing that the fire was under control did Master Roshi and his companion descend to the ground on their flying nimbus. Yagami led Master Roshi and Chi-Chi back to the castle and then went to see the Bull Demon King. The Bull Demon King was puzzled to see Master Roshi and Chi-Chi returning with a strange old man, as he didn't see Master Roshi. They were carrying banana leaf fans. "Father, do you know? The person who helped us put out the fire was this old man right here. This old man is the one you mentioned, Master Roshi," the Ox King happily told his daughter, Chi-Chi. "It just rained, a really heavy rain. Because of this rain, The fire was finally extinguished. Chi-Chi actually knew what had happened, so she pointed to Master Roshi beside her and introduced him to her father, the Ox King. "Father, do you know? The person who helped us put out the fire was this old man right here. This old man is Master Roshi." The Ox King was very excited to see Master Roshi come in person. He was extremely grateful to Master Roshi for his help in personally putting out the fire. With the help of Yagami and Master Roshi, the fire that broke out in the Ox King's castle was finally completely extinguished. The Ox King was extremely grateful to Yagami, Goku, and Master Roshi for their help. He felt he had no way to repay them. Simply giving them money and jewels would be too vulgar. To express his gratitude, the Bull Demon King presented Night God and Sun Wukong with some magical artifacts and treasures he had collected over the years, hoping they would be of some help to them. Night God and Sun Wukong accepted these gifts without hesitation, as they proved extremely useful. Since Night God and Sun Wukong had provided significant assistance to the Bull Demon King, it was assumed he would not refuse if they asked for the Dragon Ball. Therefore, Night God took this opportunity to ask the Bull Demon King to lend it to them. As expected, the Bull Demon King readily agreed. After staying at the Bull Demon King's castle for a few days, Night God and Sun Wukong decided to leave, but the Bull Demon King was very reluctant to part with them. Unable to persuade them to stay, the Bull Demon King held a farewell ceremony for Night God and Sun Wukong. Just as Night God and Sun Wukong were leaving, the Bull Demon King and his daughter personally came to see them off. Finally, Yushen and Goku left Frying Pot Mountain. They were to continue their journey to their next destination to find the Dragon Balls. So far, they had collected 6 Dragon Balls, only missing the last one. Therefore, the final Dragon Ball was crucial. They had also accomplished a great deal, so they were quite relaxed and didn't need to rush. Yushen and his friends continued to use the car Yamcha had given them. Although the flying Nimbus was very useful, much faster than a car, it required considerable stamina to control. Otherwise, it would be very tiring. Short-term use was most effective, but prolonged use would be extremely taxing. Bulma drove, with Yushen and Goku in the back, slowly driving and enjoying the scenery. They needed to find a place to refuel quickly. If the car ran out of gas, they would be in serious trouble. Just as Yagami and his companions were getting anxious, they discovered a new landmark, indicating they were about to enter an unfamiliar city. If they could find a gas station and refuel, they could continue their journey. Bulma focused on driving and pulled into a gas station. After refueling, when it was time to pay, Yagami noticed that the gas station attendants hesitated to accept the money. Yagami had never seen anything like this before. He was curious and suspicious, and his doubts about Bulma's identity resurfaced. He suspected that Bulma's identity was far more complex than it appeared, and that she must have a powerful background. As events unfolded, Yagami's suspicions were gradually confirmed. When Bulma's car entered the city streets, the lovers who saw her were terrified. Cars that encountered Bulma kept their distance, afraid to travel alongside her. Almost all cars could only slowly follow behind her, not daring to overtake. Even Bulma herself felt very strange. Why were these people so afraid of him? They dared not take his money, nor dared they get close to him. At this moment, Yagami, Goku, and the others had arrived in an unfamiliar city. So they should buy some things they needed for the journey. Bulma drove into a supermarket and parked the cart to buy things. The 4 of them bought a lot of things, carrying large and small bags. When they came out, just as they were paying, the same thing happened again. The supermarket staff dared not take Bulma's money. Yagami, Goku, and the others were all very confused. Carrying their things out of the supermarket, they found it unbelievable that they had bought so many things without spending a single penny. Shortly after Yagami and the others left the supermarket, they were met by 2 strangely looking people. These 2 people looked very strange. They had rabbit ears on their heads. Although rabbits are very cute and very busy, when rabbit ears grew on them, they looked very ferocious. Yagami could clearly see that these 2 people weren't human, but rather monsters with rabbit ears. These 2 rabbit-eared monsters were trying to stop Yushen and his companions because they wanted to rob them of what they were carrying. Furthermore, they had realized that Yushen and his group were not ordinary people. Chapter 460 Whereabouts. But how could Night God let them succeed? Night God, on his own, was more than capable of dealing with the 2 monsters. He defeated them very easily. Night God easily subdued the 2 monsters and gave them a good beating. After being defeated, the 2 monsters were very unwilling. They wanted to escape back to find their boss and ask him to avenge them. Just when Night God and his companions thought the matter was over, they prepared to drive away from the city. At the exit, they were surrounded by a group of people. It turned out that the people surrounding them were the helpers called by the two rabbit-eared monsters they had defeated before. The two rabbit-eared monsters that Night God had defeated before had called their rabbit boss. This rabbit boss looked like a thug. Night God looked at this rabbit boss. Although he looked very tough, it was hard to say whether he could take a beating. The rabbit boss thought he was very powerful. He wanted to avenge his brothers. So they stopped Night God and his group from leaving. The rabbit leader said arrogantly, "It was one of you who just hit my brother. So, you won't leave here so easily. I will avenge them and let you know about my calendar." Since the rabbit leader was already so arrogant, Night God thought he should be even more arrogant than the rabbit leader. Night God said disdainfully to the rabbit leader, "You think you can stop us? Even if you call all your brothers, you're no match for me." Night God's arrogant words immediately enraged the rabbit leader. The rabbit had never been so slighted. The rabbit leader was furious, wanting nothing more than to fight Night God and settle things once and for all. But this anger played right into Night God's trap. Night God knew perfectly well that the angrier the rabbit leader got, the less he could unleash his full power. Sure enough, the rabbit leader attacked Night God first, his moves incredibly powerful. However, in the ensuing fight, the rabbit leader's stamina waned, and he gradually lost ground. Night God didn't expend much effort and quickly defeated the rabbit leader. When the rabbit monsters, led by the rabbit leader, saw their leader so badly beaten by Night God, they were immediately filled with fear. They realized the person they had offended was incredibly powerful. Deep down, they knew they couldn't defeat Yashin even combined. The rabbit boss was ultimately defeated by Yashin and his group, who then fled in panic, never daring to cause them any more trouble. After dealing with the rabbit boss, Bulma continued on her way. Yashin and his group continued their journey, guided by the location indicated on the Dragon Ball radar. They drove on, but even after so long, they knew Yamcha had tampered with their car, installing a tracker that had been following them. Yamcha used the tracker on Yashin's car to secretly follow them, maintaining a safe distance to avoid detection. Yamcha's earlier act of giving gifts to Yashin wasn't just about monitoring their movements, it was about obtaining the Dragon Balls they were searching for. There's a saying, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Yamcha wanted to be the one to pounce. He wanted to wait until Yashin and his friends had collected all 7 Dragon Balls before defeating Yagami and his group to obtain the complete set. This was indeed a very cunning plan. Yashin and Goku were on their way to find the 7th Dragon Ball. However, it wasn't just Yamcha's group eyeing the Dragon Ball, another group was also monitoring their movements. While everything seemed to be going smoothly, there were hidden dangers. Many eyes were coveting the Dragon Ball that Yashin and his friends had already found. Therefore, protecting the Dragon Ball had become a problem. This other group coveting the Dragon Ball was the organization led by Lapif. Lapif sent 2 henchmen to follow Yashin and his friends, but their tracking skills kept them from noticing. One day, while Yashin and his friends were resting, Lapif's 2 henchmen quietly approached them, intending to steal their backpacks. Yashin and his companions were resting in the house Bulma had conjured, but they forgot to close the door, allowing Lapif's henchmen to sneak in. Seeing Yashin and Goku, 2 powerful fighters, sleeping, the henchmen quickly searched their bags. They found the bags and carefully searched inside, discovering the 6 Dragon Balls. Just as the henchmen were about to escape, Yashin happened to wake up. Seeing 2 strangers enter the house, he immediately realized something was wrong. He quickly understood their purpose. Recognizing the insignia on their bodies, he knew they were Lapif's men. Yashin immediately jumped up to stop them, unleashing a powerful attack to try and halt their escape. However, Lapif's henchmen were incredibly fast, and despite Yashin's best efforts, they managed to escape. Yashin was furious. He returned to the house and woke up Goku and Bulma to discuss how to retrieve the Dragon Balls. Upon hearing about the theft, Goku was enraged and vowed to settle the score with Lapi immediately. Yashin said coldly, "We finally found 6 Dragon Balls, and Lapi stole them. This score must be settled, and we won't rest until we overturn his territory." Now, Yashin and the others needed to find Lapi and take back their Dragon Balls. Yagami and Goku, along with Bulma and Oolong, followed the map to Lapi's exact location. Along the way, Yashin and the others were very anxious, Fearing that Lapi had already collected all 7 Dragon Balls and would use them to satisfy his selfish and world-threatening desires, Yi-Shen and his group found Lapif's castle in almost no time. Once they arrived outside the castle, they began to attack, sparing none of Lapif's men. Chapter 461 Guilty Feelings. Yi-Shen and Son Goku, along with Bulma and Oolong, defeated all the guards at the city gate in the blink of an eye. Never before had Yi-Shen and Son Goku been so angry. They unleashed their full power, and the Lapif's henchmen were no match for them, collapsing one after another. Having cleared the outer guards, Yi-Shen and Son Goku were determined to enter the castle immediately and find the 6 Dragon Balls. Using their flying nimbus, Yi-Shen and Son Goku carried Bulma and Oolong over the high walls, easily entering Lapif's castle. However, upon landing, they triggered a trap on the ground, and all 4 of them fell into it. It turned out that this trap was specially prepared by Lapif for Yi-Shen and Son Goku. Lapif had anticipated that Yi-Shen and Son Goku would come to settle scores with him, so to eliminate this threat, he had laid countless traps on the ground just inside the castle entrance, designed to ensnare them. Lapif's trap was incredibly vicious, designed to kill Yi-Shen and his companions. After falling into the trap, they discovered it was extremely deep. Looking up, they saw the entrance was completely covered by Lapif, with only a sliver of light visible. Below, it was pitch black, they couldn't see their own hands. Yi-Shen reached out and slowly searched, touching the trap's walls, only to find them incredibly smooth and made of a very hard metal. He unleashed a powerful attack, striking the walls, but they remained completely undamaged, without a single mark. Lapif had also had the walls coated with a special paint, making them incredibly smooth. Yi-Shen and his companions were now in a predicament. Brute force wouldn't break through this impenetrable wall, and climbing it was impossible. For a moment, Yi-Shen was at a loss. Worse still, the more effort they expended inside, the faster they consumed oxygen. In this limited space, the oxygen reserves were scarce and wouldn't last long. Inaction would lead to suffocation, action would lead to death. This was truly a dead end. Seeing that even Yi-Shen was helpless, Goku and Bulma couldn't help but become anxious. Goku patted Yi-Shen on the shoulder and asked anxiously, "The situation is so bad, what should we do? We're in a dilemma. Think of something quickly, you're usually the most observant." Yi-Shen had been thinking about how to break the trap. After calmly considering for a while, he finally came up with a feasible solution. Yi-Shen conjured a somersault cloud and rode it to the entrance of the trap. He carefully examined it and found that the lid at the entrance wasn't very heavy. He could slowly pry it open a little. As long as he could create a small gap to allow air to pass through, half the problem would be solved. The space in this trap was very small, and the higher up towards the entrance, the narrower the space became, allowing only one person to pass at a time. Although Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong had somersault clouds and could reach the entrance, only one person could pass at a time. One person alone couldn't move the lid at the entrance, and besides, there must be someone guarding outside. If they were discovered, they might replace it with a heavier lid. Yi-Shen slowly moved the lid, trying to make as little noise as possible, leaving a palm-width gap in the trap, enough for oxygen to get in. As long as there was enough oxygen in the trap for the time being, Yi-Shen and the others would have more time to come up with a good way to escape. After creating a gap, Yi-Shen slowly descended to the bottom of the trap on his flying nimbus. At this moment, Goku was anxiously watching Yi-Shen. Goku asked anxiously, "What's the situation up there?" Yi-Shen shook his head, indicating that the situation was not good, and added, "If we want to escape from up there, it's impossible. Not only is it sealed off with heavy stones, but there are also people guarding the entrance. We have to think of another way." Goku looked dejected, believing that they had no hope of escaping. This somber atmosphere affected Bulma and Oolong. Everyone remained silent, their minds racing, trying to come up with a good solution as soon as possible. However, they remained deadlocked without any progress. Just when everyone was at their most desperate, machines began to turn at the bottom of the trap. Yi-Shen and Goku came back to their senses and listened carefully to where the sounds were coming from. As the metallic scraping sound from the rotating machinery grew louder, Yi-Shen realized what was happening. These sounds were from the castle's mechanisms, like the deep roar of a ferocious beast. The castle's mechanisms slowly began to operate. Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong were trapped in the trap, unaware of what was happening outside or why the castle's mechanisms had suddenly activated. Yi-Shen guessed that the castle must be facing some crisis, otherwise the mechanisms wouldn't have activated so suddenly. And indeed, just as Yi-Shen had guessed, it was Yamcha and his group who had caused the castle's mechanisms to activate. Yi-Shen was unaware that next to their trap, Yamcha and his group had also fallen into Lapith's trap and were trapped inside. In his panic, Yamcha unknowingly triggered a mechanism in the castle, making the noise that Yi-Shen and Goku heard. Once activated, the mechanism created a passageway connecting all the underground traps, allowing Yi-Shen and Goku to quickly find Yamcha and his group. Yi-Shen was puzzled as to why Yamcha was there. Yamcha, feeling a little guilty, wanted to quickly interrupt Yi-Shen's thoughts. Yamcha feigned surprise and spoke first. "It's you. What are you doing here? Weren't you supposed to be searching for the Dragon Balls?" Yamcha's smooth acting didn't arouse suspicion from Yi-Shen and Goku, as if he genuinely didn't know why they were there. Yi-Shen countered with a question. "So what's going on with you? How did you get here?" Yamcha immediately came up with an excuse and explained to Yi-Shen. "It's all because my men were bullied by Lapith's people. I wanted to get justice for my brothers, so I decided to come here to settle accounts with Lapith. But before I even saw them, I fell into their trap and made such a fool of myself." Just as Yi-Shen and Yamcha were talking, Bulma suddenly felt unwell. She felt dizzy. Chapter 462 The Night of the Full Moon. Bulma weakly bent over, then braced herself against the wall, letting out an uncomfortable groan. Yi-Shen and Goku were the first to notice Bulma's change, so they quickly went to support her and carefully inquired about her condition. "Bulma, what's wrong?" Bulma whispered. "I feel a little dizzy and short of breath, probably because it's too stuffy here." Hearing Bulma's words, Yi-Shen indeed felt it was a bit stuffy down there. After all, Bulma was a girl, and even they, grown men, felt uncomfortable, how much more so a delicate young woman? It seemed they shouldn't waste any more time here. They had to get Bulma away immediately. Yi-Shen said to everyone, "Let's get out of here quickly. The oxygen is getting lower and lower, continuing like this won't be good for anyone." No one objected to Yi-Shen's words, everyone agreed that he was right. So they all followed Yi-Shen and his companions, quickly advancing along the path created by the rotating mechanisms. During the relocation, Yamcha also lent a hand, helping Yi-Shen support Bulma, and the two of them helped Bulma deeper into the castle. They encountered many traps along the way, but thanks to Yi-Shen's wisdom, he quickly identified them and successfully avoided them. Yi-Shen and Goku's group finally escaped the traps. Yi-Shen led Bulma to a safe place, and after breathing in fresh air, Bulma took deep breaths. After a while, she felt much more awake. Bulma finally felt her dizziness subside. This time, thanks to the help of Yi-Shen, Goku, and Yamcha, Bulma was able to escape danger. Unbeknownst to Yi-Shen and his companions, in the center of the castle, Lapith sat on his throne, greedily eyeing the 7 Dragon Balls laid out before him. In fact, Lapith already possessed one of the Dragon Balls, so upon learning that Yi-Shen and Goku were also searching for them, he began a plan. Lapith waited for an opportunity. Once Yi-Shen had found the remaining 6 Dragon Balls, he would seize them. Lapith wanted to get something for nothing, avoiding the effort of searching for the other 6 Dragon Balls and simply waiting to reap the benefits. Therefore, he had arranged for his men to monitor Yi-Shen and his group, informing him immediately of any news. After learning that Yi-Shen and his group had found the remaining 6 Dragon Balls, Lapith quickly acted, snatching them from their hands. Now that all 7 Dragon Balls had been found, it was time to summon Shenron. Lapith used the 7 Dragon Balls to summon Shenron, and Shenron appeared before him. After Shenron appeared, a powerful energy fluctuation emanated from the entire castle. Yi-Shen, deep within the trap, immediately sensed this energy fluctuation. Yi-Shen quickly realized that the energy was coming from the summoned dragon. A chill ran down his spine. The dragon had been summoned. It must be Lapith's doing. Yi-Shen wanted to stop Lapith immediately. If Lapith made his wish, things would be disastrous. Lapith, seeing the dragon, was overjoyed and went into a frenzy. Yi-Shen raced against time, not wanting to waste a second. He unleashed Master Roshi's Turtle Wave, a powerful force that Yi-Shen could barely withstand, breaking through the impenetrable walls of the trap. Yi-Shen escaped successfully, taking along with him. Yi-Shen was in such a hurry to stop Lapith from making his wish to the dragon, and bringing Oolong along was to force Oolong to reveal his wish, thus intercepting Lapith. When Yi-Shen and his companion arrived at Lapith's palace, Lapith was just about to tell the dragon his wish. Lapith, consumed by greed, pondered for a long time. He wanted too much, his mind constantly rehearsing his wish. He wanted the whole world. He wanted to be its ruler. Lapith prepared to make his wish and spoke to the dragon. Dragon, dragon, I want. Before Lapith could finish, Yi-Shen anxiously shouted to Wulong. Wulong, quickly say your wish. Without hesitation, Wulong blurted out, I want lots and lots of delicious food. Lapith was utterly devastated that someone had spoken his wish before him. He knew that Shenron would only grant a wish of the first person to utter it, and he had missed his chance. Shenron said to Wulong, such a simple wish, I will grant it immediately. With that, Shenron conjured countless delicious foods, filling Lapith's entire palace. Lapith stared in despair at these seemingly magical delicacies, for they were the very things that had replaced him as the ruler of the world. After granting Wulong's wish, Shenron vanished from Yi-Shen's sight. Then, the 7 dragon balls floated up, flying away from the palace and drifting off in different directions to various corners of the world. Lapith was nearly driven mad. He glared at Wulong with rage, wanting nothing more than to kill him immediately. Lapith slowly approached Wulong, weapon in hand, his eyes blazing with undisguised hatred. Lapith felt he had lost his entire world. This immense sense of loss made his anger uncontrollable. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he attacked Wulong. Wulong was terrified of Lapith's current state, and frantically dodged Lapith's attacks. Seeing Lapith relentlessly pursuing Wulong, Yi-Shen intervened and fought with Lapith. After all, it was Yi-Shen who made Wulong make the wish, so he should bear the consequences. Yi-Shen dared to let Wulong make the wish because he knew that Wulong was actually a person without great ambition, although not particularly kind. He didn't have any evil intentions. Wulong ruined Lapith's plan, and Lapith, enraged, wanted to kill Wulong. Yi-Shen intervened with all his might, and Wulong was chased and forced to flee in all directions by Lapith. The situation at the palace was very exciting, and similarly, something happened to Sun Wukong at the trap. By this time, it was already dark, and coincidentally, it was the 15th of the lunar month, with a large and round moon hanging in the sky. Not good news. Son Goku's body has a peculiar trait. Every full moon night, his body goes berserk uncontrollably, transforming him into a gigantic monster, losing his mind and becoming a ferocious beast. Bulma and Yamcha, who were with Goku, were terrified upon seeing him in this form. Fearing that the berserk Goku might imitate them, they quickly hid to prevent him from discovering their presence. Yamcha, who was always afraid of girls, pulled Bulma aside, protecting her behind him. Dissatisfied with being trapped in the trap, the monstrous Goku unleashed a tremendous burst of energy, instantly breaking through the seemingly impenetrable barrier. Goku immediately escaped, heading straight for the palace where Yi-Shen and the others were. Chapter 463 Heavy Weapons. Yamcha and Bulma, who had been hiding nearby, emerged after Goku had left for a while. They used the opening Goku had created to escape the trap. Bulma was worried that Goku's rampage would cause trouble, so she thought she needed to find Yi-Shen quickly to tell him what was going on and discuss what to do. However, Bulma had injured her leg in the trap and could only walk slowly, too afraid to run, which would waste a lot of time. Seeing Bulma's anxious state, Yamcha was conflicted. He wanted to help her, but hesitated because he had never liked girls, yet Bulma gave him a different feeling. Yamcha finally overcame his psychological barrier, bravely walked up to Bulma, picked her up, and ran quickly towards Yi-Shen's palace. After escaping the trap, the rampaging Sun Wukong ran rampant throughout the castle, destroying buildings in his path. In no time, everything in his path was reduced to ruins, inflicting heavy losses on Lapith. Lapith, preoccupied with dealing with Wulong and Yi-Shen, was completely unaware of the situation outside. If he knew Sun Wukong had turned his castle into this mess, he would surely be furious. Lapith's men outside tried to stop Sun Wukong's destruction, but these lowly minions were no match for him, especially in his berserk state. After several fierce attacks proved ineffective, they decisively retreated, as their own casualties were heavy, and at this rate, few soldiers remained inside the castle. No one could stop the rampaging Sun Wukong. He was like a raging beast, devoid of humanity, driven only by killing. Because Sun Wukong made a huge noise inside Lapith's castle, Yi-Shen and Wulong, who were dealing with Lapith inside the palace, heard that something was wrong outside. They quickly shook off Lapith and ran outside to investigate. Lapith relentlessly pursued them. Yi-Shen saw that much of the castle had been destroyed, many buildings had collapsed and turned into ruins. He didn't know what had happened, or who had the power to do such a thing. When Lapif saw the scene before him, he was completely stunned. What had happened? How could his castle be like this? This was his home, his property, his life's wealth, all of it was here, now destroyed. Lapif almost fainted. He was heartbroken, watching the castle slowly turn to ruins with a face full of grief. Lapif had no time to care about Yishen and Wulong now, he only wanted to find the person who destroyed the castle and tear them to pieces. Yishen gazed into the distance and saw a vaguely familiar figure from behind. The figure was somewhat familiar, yet not entirely so. Yishen could only make out that the figure resembled a monster, a massive body, powerful arms, bloodshot eyes, and a ferocious expression, a veritable murderous maniac. Yishen noticed a tail on Sun Wukong's back. If he hadn't previously seen Sun Wukong's tail protruding when he bathed, he would never have dared to connect this monster with Sun Wukong. The monster before him was unmistakably Sun Wukong. Yishen was simply puzzled as to why Sun Wukong had become like this, when they had been perfectly fine just moments before. The sky was dark, but the bright moonlight revealed that Sun Wukong was still going berserk, showing no signs of stopping. But Lapif didn't care about that. Even if Sun Wukong was incredibly powerful, he had to stop him. Lapif stood before Sun Wukong, shouting angrily. Die! With that, Lapif unleashed his ultimate attack on Sun Wukong. When Lapif's attack struck Sun Wukong's back, Sun Wukong showed no reaction, simply turning slowly to look at Lapif, completely ignoring him. Lapif felt insulted, his attack was utterly ineffective against Sun Wukong. He was filled with resentment and secretly vowed to kill Sun Wukong to quell his hatred. Knowing he was no match for Sun Wukong, Lapif immediately left, heading to his treasure vault to find a weapon capable of defeating Sun Wukong in one blow. Yishen, seeing Lapif leave, mistakenly assumed he had given up on attacking Sun Wukong. Yishen felt that letting Sun Wukong continue like this wasn't a solution, he needed to find a way to restore Sun Wukong to normal as quickly as possible. However, facing this berserk Sun Wukong, Yishen was at a loss. He tried fighting Sun Wukong several times, but even with his strength, he was no match for him. Yishen was helpless. Left with no other option, Yishen could only let Goku continue his rampage. Yamcha carried Bulma through the long corridor to Yishen's side and put her down. The four of them could only watch helplessly as Goku destroyed the castle like a beast. Just when they were at their wits' end, Bulma saw Lapif bringing something from the distant palace and setting it up, aiming it at Goku. Bulma alerted Yishen. Yishen, look at that, Bulma pointed in Lapif's direction. Yishen looked in the direction Bulma was pointing and saw that Lapif had brought out a heavy weapon. The missile launcher was already installed, and Lapif was directing his men to bring the missile. Yishen immediately knew what Lapif was planning. He wanted to use the missile to kill Goku directly. Yishen was terrified. Yishen reacted swiftly, chanting an incantation to summon his somersault cloud. He mounted the cloud and flew rapidly towards Lapif, intending to stop Lapif's actions immediately. If Lapif succeeded, Sun Wukong would be either dead or seriously injured. However, despite Yishen's speed, Lapif still spotted him. Knowing Yishen's purpose was to stop him, Lapif frantically placed the missile into the launcher and ignited it. Sparks quickly burned along the fuse. Yishen realized it was too late, he couldn't stop it. As the fuse burned out, the launcher exploded with a loud bang, and the missile was launched towards Sun Wukong. Because Sun Wukong had lost his mind, he had no idea what was about to happen to him and continued his destructive activities without awareness. Chapter 464 Embarrassment. The missile struck Sun Wukong, causing a powerful explosion and billowing smoke that obscured Yishen's and the others' vision. When the smoke cleared, Yishen saw that Sun Wukong's body was charred in many places, with a large hole in his chest and blood flowing continuously from his mouth. Yishen was horrified by Sun Wukong's condition. He knew something terrible was wrong. He watched helplessly as Sun Wukong's pupils slowly dilated, his gaze unfocused, and his body fell backward, landing heavily on the ground with a thud. Yishen rushed to Sun Wukong's side, checking his wounds, feeling for his breath, and checking his heartbeat. To his utter disappointment, Sun Wukong had stopped breathing and his heart had stopped beating. This devastated Yishen. Seeing Sun Wukong lying on the ground like a dead man, Yishen, as a good friend, was heartbroken. Bulma and Yamcha rushed to Yishen's side. Seeing Goku in this state, they were heartbroken and didn't know what to do. The culprit was Lapi, the one who had harmed Goku like this. Bulma and Yamcha wanted nothing more than to confront Lapi immediately. We must avenge Goku. Yi Shen, let's go find Lapi together, Bulma said sadly. We must avenge Goku. Yi Shen, let's go find Lapi together. Yi Shen was completely disoriented. He knelt blankly before Goku, staring at Goku's wounded body covered in blood, a horrifying sight. Yi Shen stood up, his eyes filled with hatred, cold and ruthless. He was determined to find Lapi and avenge Goku. So, Yi Shen, along with Bulma and Yamcha, approached Lapi's location. Their menacing appearance frightened Lapi, who quickly sought refuge. Just as Yi Shen, Bulma, and Yamcha were about to find Lapi, Goku's body miraculously moved behind them, though Yi Shen and the others didn't notice. After moving, Goku's wound slowly healed, the large hole closed up, and Goku slowly opened his eyes. Goku, who had just looked dead, miraculously stood up, seemingly unharmed. Even after standing, Goku hadn't regained his senses and remained in a berserk state. When he saw Yi Shen and the others, he charged towards them. Goku launched a frenzied attack on Yi Shen and Yamcha, holding nothing back and attacking without restraint. Yi Shen and the others, mindful of Goku's recent awakening, dared not engage him directly, fearing they might injure him. Yi Shen and his friends could only dodge Goku's fierce attacks. To distract Goku, Yi Shen and Yamcha discussed their options. Yi Shen decided to take along one way and Yamcha the other, splitting into two groups to avoid exhausting everyone. So, they dispersed. Yi Shen summoned his flying nimbus using a spell and left Lapif's castle with Oolong. Goku, in his berserk state, had lost his mind and couldn't use his flying nimbus, only able to chase after Yi Shen on foot. Yamcha boarded the plane they had initially arrived in, taking Bulma with him, and left Lapif's castle. Goku didn't pursue Yamcha and Bulma, so Yamcha's plane wasn't flying very fast, but an accident still occurred. Yamcha's plane was forced to land due to some malfunctions. Yamcha shut down the engine and allowed the plane to descend slowly. Below them lay a lush, green forest. The plane landed in this area, where the tall trees in the forest provided some cushioning. Just as the plane was about to crash, Yamcha and Bulma opened the hatch, put on their parachute gear, and jumped out. After the parachute opened, the two floated in the air. There was a slight breeze, which helped them drift slowly. Yamcha worried that the wind might change the direction of the parachute, increasing the distance between them. If they separated, it would be difficult to find each other in this dense forest. So Yamcha said to Bulma, "Bulma, give me your hand." Bulma didn't know what Yamcha meant, and since Yamcha was the only one she could rely on, she obediently extended her hand. When Bulma offered her hand, Yamcha grabbed it. Bulma's eyes widened in surprise, and her face instantly turned bright red. What are you doing?" Yamcha asked shyly. "Don't overthink it. With the wind now, it'll be easy to blow us apart." Bulma understood why and wasn't so hesitant anymore. This was a special situation, they couldn't afford to think about it too much. Yamcha held Bulma's hand tightly in his own, tore a piece of cloth from his arm with his other hand, and used it to tie his hand tightly to Bulma's. Even after tying their hands together, Yamcha was still worried and intertwined Bulma's fingers. Although they both maintained a calm facade, they knew in their hearts how fast their hearts were beating. Yamcha and Bulma finally landed in the forest. They removed their landing gear and observed the forest before them. The forest was extremely lush, with many very tall trees and dense thickets. The green canopy overhead, like a blanket, blocked out the sunlight, making the forest look very eerie and terrifying. As Bulma and Yamcha walked through this eerie and terrifying forest, they were both terrified, as they frequently heard the roars of wild beasts echoing from the depths of the woods. Such a primeval forest must be inhabited by many different kinds of wild animals, and Yamcha kept Bulma within a meter of him, protecting her. Since Bulma and Yamcha landed in the forest, Yamcha hadn't let go of their hands, still worried that Bulma might encounter an accident and they might get separated. Every time Bulma heard the sounds of wild beasts from the forest, she would involuntarily tremble with fear. Yamcha noticed these small details and silently protected Bulma. So far, Yamcha and Bulma were quite lucky, they had walked for a long time in the forest without encountering any terrifying beasts. However, Yi Shen and Oolong were in a much worse situation than Yamcha. Yi Shen and Oolong were constantly being chased by Goku, and Yi Shen's escape was rather disheveled. Chapter 465 Remote Control. Yi Shen was eventually exhausted by Sun Wukong, while Sun Wukong remained unfazed, continuing his pursuit with boundless energy. Yi Shen, worn out, had to stop and find a cave, deciding to rest there. Yi Shen and Wulong entered the cave, only to discover that he had been there before, the same cave he had passed through when he first awoke. This cave was a hidden world, connecting two different realms. One side was flat land, the other a vast primeval forest, the same forest that Yamcha and Bulma had entered. Yi Shen and Wulong carefully hid inside the cave, merely buying time. Sun Wukong would eventually find the cave by their scent, they just needed to rest and replenish their strength. Sure enough, not long after, Sun Wukong arrived near the mountaintop and lingered outside the cave. Because of his enormous size, he couldn't enter directly and had to wait outside. Yi Shen and Wulong needed to find a way to escape from under Sun Wukong's noses. So, Yi Shen deliberately went to the cave entrance to lure Sun Wukong, intentionally exposing himself. When Sun Wukong saw Yi Shen, he ran straight towards him. Yi Shen, realizing he'd been tricked, quickly ran back. Yi Shen escaped along the way, but Sun Wukong, losing control of his speed, crashed headfirst into the cave, his head stuck at the entrance, screaming in pain. Now, Yi Shen and Wulong had their chance. Sun Wukong was finally immobilized, now was the perfect opportunity to awaken him. The cave was pitch black, so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, let alone moonlight. Yi Shen used his purification ability to drive away Sun Wukong's inner demons and purify his mind. Soon, cleansed by the purifying power, Sun Wukong slowly fell asleep. When he woke up, he was back to normal. Finally back to normal, Sun Wukong rubbed his slightly aching head and asked Yi Shen and Wulong, "What happened to me? How did I get here? And my whole body aches." Wulong clapped his hands happily and walked up to Sun Wukong to explain. "You're finally back to normal. Do you know you went into berserk mode? Nobody could control you. You really got us into trouble. We still don't know where Bulma and the others are." Sun Wukong looked at Yi Shen in astonishment and asked. "Is that true?" Yi Shen nodded slightly, then Wulong said defiantly, "Would I lie to you? Didn't I tell you the situation? You're still asking him?" Wulong said angrily, and Sun Wukong retorted. "Yet, I only believe him." Wulong was speechless and could only remain silent. Sun Wukong, having finally regained consciousness and stopped his madness, finally realized how exhausted and hungry he was. "Master Yi," he said weakly. "I'm so hungry. I want to eat something." Master Yi nodded and said, "I'm hungry too." Wulong, intrigued by this, immediately chimed in, "Then let's go find something to eat." Before Master Yi and Sun Wukong could finish speaking, they rode off on their somersault cloud, leaving only Bird Dragon in the cave. Wulong was furious, they had abandoned him to find food, and he was left alone in the cave. Sun Wukong and Master Yi rode their somersault cloud to the seaside, knowing that where there were people, there must be plenty of good food. The person Master Yi and Sun Wukong were looking for at the seaside was Master Roshi, who happened to be in his residence at that moment. Yi Shen and Son Goku were starving. Without saying a word, they barged into Master Roshi's house. Master Roshi was sitting on the sofa watching TV when Yi Shen and Son Goku suddenly appeared, and he stood there in disbelief. Yi Shen and Son Goku, like two robbers, immediately began searching everywhere in Master Roshi's house, starting with the refrigerator and kitchen. Master Roshi had no idea what they were doing, only seeing Yi Shen and Son Goku ransacking the kitchen like wolves, finally opening the refrigerator and taking out all the food inside. The two devoured the food, eating quickly and frantically, stuffing food into their mouths as if they hadn't eaten in a long time. Their eyes lit up at the sight of food. Master Roshi was heartbroken. This was his food supply for the next few weeks. Master Roshi couldn't stop them. Yi Shen and Son Goku acted as if Master Roshi didn't exist, eating voraciously. Yi Shen and Son Goku devoured the food in Master Roshi's refrigerator in no time. Master Roshi couldn't believe his eyes. These two had devoured weeks' worth of his food supplies in just half an hour. He was furious and wanted to punch them. After Yi Shen and Goku finished eating, Master Roshi prepared his cane. He was going to teach them a lesson. Yi Shen and Goku, having eaten their fill, patted their bulging bellies contentedly, then sprawled on Master Roshi's sofa, casually picking up the remote and changing the channel. Master Roshi was dumbfounded. These two were utterly lawless. Did they think this was their own home? Eating his food so casually, lying on his sofa so casually, changing the channel so casually. Master Roshi couldn't take it anymore and walked over to Yi Shen and Goku. Without any hesitation, he snatched the remote from Goku's hand. Goku instinctively tried to grab it back, but then he remembered he was in Master Roshi's house, so he sheepishly withdrew his hand. When Sun Wukong fully regained consciousness, he looked at Master Roshi with shame. Master Roshi then said, "What's wrong? You know this is my house? Come and take it. This is my remote control. How dare you rudely barge into my house, eat my food, watch my TV, and treat me like I don't exist." Yi Shen, who was next to Sun Wukong, was almost asleep. After eating, he lay on the sofa, and drowsiness slowly crept in. Yi Shen was awakened by the noise of Master Roshi and Sun Wukong arguing. He muttered, "What are you arguing about? Can't you let me get some sleep?" Master Roshi, furious, slapped Yi Shen on the head. Yi Shen replied, "Sleep? Get your facts straight. Open your eyes and look around. This is my house, I know this is your home. That's why we came here. Don't be so stingy, okay? We're all friends." Master Roshi was speechless after hearing Yi Shen's words, unsure how to respond. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 Robbers. The three of them quickly started arguing, with Yi Shen and Sun Wukong claiming they were in cahoots. Sun Wukong immediately chimed in, agreeing with Yi Shen. "Yet, we're all old friends, what's wrong with eating a little bit of your food? Don't be so stingy." Master Roshi angrily slammed his cane on the ground, his hand trembling with rage. "Please get this straight. This isn't just a little bit, you two clearly ate a lot. You two actually ate my food for the next few weeks," Goku said to Master Roshi with a smile. "Why don't you just go buy some more and store it?" Master Roshi said. "You make it sound so easy, you go buy it from me," Yi Shen assured Master Roshi. "This is easy, no problem, leave it to us. Once we've rested, we'll go buy the food for you when we have time." Master Roshi thought to himself, that's more like it, and so the matter was dropped, and the three remained friends. Meanwhile, Bulma and Yamcha were still wandering in the forest. They were trying to find a way out of the forest, and after spending a lot of time there, they finally found the path on the other side. Since they no longer had cars or airplanes, they could only move forward on foot. For Yamcha, a boy, the situation was somewhat manageable. However, Bulma was a girl, and besides, she had injured her foot, making walking very tiring. Along the way, Yamcha took great care of Bulma. To ease her burden, Yamcha would sometimes, the sentence is incomplete and abruptly ends here, likely due to an incomplete thought or missing information. Each time, Bulma seemed to refuse Yamcha's kindness, but eventually relented because Yamcha's words were very sincere. Yamcha and Bulma wanted to return to the city, but they could only travel on foot. During this long journey, Bulma and Yamcha would cross a vast desert. However, at this moment, Bulma and Yamcha were unaware that a desert awaited them ahead. When Bulma and Yamcha reached the Gobi Desert where the forest met the desert, Bulma immediately sensed something was wrong. Bulma asked Yamcha in confusion. "Yamcha, look ahead. Isn't that a desert? How did we end up in a desert?" Yamcha looked into the distance and saw a vast desert ahead. They were in big trouble. This route was the shortest and fastest to the city, but having to cross this desert made Yamcha uneasy, as he had never done it before. Yamcha had to feign calmness to reassure Bulma. "It's a desert ahead. We have to get through here. When we enter the desert, stick close to me and don't fall behind. Let's try to talk as little as possible," Yamcha said. Bulma nodded. "I'll do whatever you say." Yamcha checked their water bags and sleeping bags. The water bags still had plenty of water. If he drank a little, it would be enough to get them through the desert. The sleeping bags were also intact, which reassured Yamcha. Actually, Yamcha didn't need to worry about these things at all. Bulma could conjure up basic necessities using her capsules. That night, Bulma used a capsule to create a house, and the two of them went inside to rest and get a good night's sleep before continuing their journey the next day. However, as they continued their journey, they reached the depths of the desert and slowly lost their way. Yamcha and Bulma were lost in this desert, and their situation was dire. Being lost was draining their time and energy, and the scorching sun overhead was relentlessly burning them, causing them to sweat profusely. Bulma was parched and desperately thirsty, wanting to check her water pouch, but she had to resist. It was their lifeline. The weather was scorching, and there wasn't a breath of wind in the desert. It felt unbearably hot. Bulma and Yamcha, with their strong willpower, suppressed their exhaustion and thirst, dragging themselves forward step by step, without uttering a word, doing their best to conserve their strength. Yamcha had always instructed Bulma to stay close behind him. Whenever Yamcha sensed Bulma was getting a little too far ahead, he would stop and wait for her. In this way, after losing their way in the desert, Bulma and Yamcha, through sheer willpower, eventually managed to slowly make their way out. Bulma and Yamcha were almost completely exhausted, and seeing the desert nearing its end, they were overjoyed. Yamcha gave Bulma the rest of his water pouch and said, "Drink some water. You can drink it all now. I see buildings ahead, tall buildings. We'll be in the city soon." Hearing Yamcha's words, Bulma unscrewed the water pouch, finally able to drink properly. Bulma didn't finish her water, she left half for Yamcha, handing him the pouch and saying, "Have some water too. I've noticed you haven't had much water on the way here. You won't be able to handle it. What will I do if something happens to you?" Bulma, a member of the Yamcha party, thought Bulma's words made perfect sense. So, she took the water pouch, opened it without hesitation, and drank deeply. After drinking water and eating some dry rations to replenish their strength, Yamcha and Bulma continued their journey towards the city. Actually, Bulma was very afraid that what they were seeing was a mirage, and she kept a close eye on the scene, fearing that something might change. The scenery remained unchanged, and Yamcha and Bulma did indeed eventually enter the city. They arrived at a small village on the outskirts of the city. Because of its proximity to the city, the village was quite populated, and there was an inn in the village where travelers could rest. Bulma and Yamcha needed to find a place to rest, so they checked into the inn. They booked 2 rooms and went back to their respective rooms to freshen up and rest. After settling in, Yamcha and Bulma went to the hotel lobby to eat. They chose a table and ordered some food. When the dishes arrived, they began to eat. Not long after, a group of people arrived at the next table, talking incessantly. Yamcha and Bulma listened intently to their conversation, repeatedly hearing the words bandit and Lanchi. Yamcha listened very carefully, not missing a single word. The story was as follows. Not long ago, a bandit named Lanchi had come to the village. Everyone had heard his name, but few had seen what he looked like, making it difficult to capture him. Chapter 467 Playing Tricks. While Bulma and Yamcha were eating, a little girl walked into the hotel lobby. Her appearance was very eye-catching. She had striking blue hair, standing out from everyone else, and everyone glanced at her. The girl found a seat and was about to order when she accidentally sneezed. What was initially thought to be a normal sneeze turned into a bizarre change in hair color, from blue to yellow. Bulma and Yamcha found this very strange. A sneeze could change hair color. They continued eating, not giving it much thought. However, the people around them became restless. Yamcha and Bulma heard someone shouting loudly, "Grab her! She's the robber Lanchi! Arrest her!" The hotel lobby erupted in noise as everyone stood up and turned their attention to the little girl. Bulma and Yamcha stared at the people in disbelief. Was this young girl really the infamous bandit Lanchi? Could they be mistaken? But seeing how earnestly they were waiting for them, Yamcha and Bulma remained skeptical. Suddenly, a loud shout caused chaos in the hotel lobby. The locals dropped what they were doing and rushed to grab Lanchi. Once Lanchi's identity was exposed, she quickly reacted and fled. No matter how hard the pursuers chased, they couldn't catch her, as her speed was the result of years of running away. Lanchi successfully escaped the encirclement and continued her swift escape. The pursuers chased her for a long distance until the distance between them grew significantly before they finally gave up. After shaking off their pursuers, Lanchi arrived at a new place. She seemed to be in a good mood, humming a tune and leisurely enjoying the scenery along the way. During this process, Lanchi passed by a place where she saw a railway line with high-tech trains speeding by. Suddenly, a brilliant idea flashed through her mind. She thought that people who could afford to ride on such trains couldn't be poor, and if she could sneak in, she could make a fortune. With this thought in mind, Lanchi began to plan. She waited on the overpass above the railway, waiting for the next train to pass by. When the train arrived, Lanchi gracefully jumped off the overpass and landed steadily on the train. Being an experienced rider, she landed silently, attracting no attention from the passengers. Lanchi sat leisurely on the roof of the train, the high speed creating a strong wind around her. Her blonde hair was tousled in the wind, and a comfortable coolness enveloped her body. After resting enough, Lanky began his operation. Grabbing the train railing, he nimbly climbed down, reaching the glass window. He then gripped the railing with both hands, stretched out his legs, and forcefully smashed the glass. The strong glass shattered with a single kick. A loud crash echoed, abruptly waking those sleeping soundly inside the train. They squinted, looking around to see what had happened. Some cursed loudly, while others ignored the noise and closed their eyes again, ready to fall back asleep. Only a few saw Lanky smash the window with his foot and then crawl through the hole. They stared in disbelief, unable to react or stop him, as Lanky brazenly appeared before them. Some people finally realized something was wrong and quickly pressed the alarm. The train police heard the alarm and began searching the carriage. Lanky quickly went over and stopped the person about to call the alarm, saying fiercely, "Put it down, now, or I'll kill you right now. You'd better not try anything funny. Don't even think about tipping off the police, or I'll kill you in front of them." As he spoke, Lanky pulled out his sword and held it to the man's neck, his eyes glaring menacingly. The others, not daring to interfere, sat fearfully in their seats, heads bowed, afraid to make a sound or move, not wanting to attract Lanky's attention. Lanky was quite satisfied with their self-discipline. He lowered the man's collar and then walked around the carriage, carefully observing their clothing. He could judge a person's wealth by their attire. Lanky selected several women dressed in designer luxury goods, like selecting merchandise. Lanky forcefully pushed the women to the ground, forcing them to kneel before him. Looking down at them, he coldly said, "Hand over your money now. Give me all your valuables, bank cards, and pins." The women were terrified by Lanky's tone. They were afraid of dying, but they truly had little money. Trembling, they handed over their meager valuables, bank cards, and cell phones. Lanky glanced at the items and frowned. They were worthless compared to the women's outwardly glamorous appearance. "Is this all you have? You'd better hand them over immediately, or I won't be polite," Lanky snapped at them. One of the women, heavily made up and dressed in designer clothes, was almost in tears, pleading softly, "This is really all I have. I don't have much money. Don't be fooled by my nice clothes. This is almost all my possessions. I've spent almost all my money on these things. I only have a few thousand yuan left in my bank account." Lanky, having misjudged her, yelled at her, "Then why are you pretending to be rich when you have no money? Get out of here, get far away." The woman was terrified, stunned for a moment before picking up her things and staggering away in her high heels. The remaining women exchanged fearful glances, then looked down at the so-called valuables they had handed over, all designer bags, cosmetics, watches, and other such items. Lanky only found jewelry appealing, the rest were useless to her. Lanky looked at the women with a disappointed expression. Chapter 468 Physical Fitness Test. "Get out of here, you bunch of spendthrift women." Hearing Lanky's words, the women scrambled to their feet and scurried away from her. Since the women had nothing of value, surely the men had something. Lanky turned her gaze back to the men, scrutinizing them and selecting a few well-dressed, respectable-looking men. Those chosen by Lanky stood obediently in line, heads bowed. Lanky paced back and forth in front of them, speaking to them. "Give me your 3 most valuable possessions as quickly as possible. 1 second's delay, and I'll chop off a finger." Lanky's words were terrifying, truly frightening the men. They obediently searched themselves and quickly found 3 items. Lanky glanced at them. They were mostly bank cards and expensive watches. She selected several bank cards, all black, gold, and black gold cards, which looked quite nice. Lanky asked for the pins for each card and then casually picked out a few watches and jewelry. Satisfied with her find, Lanky prepared to leave. She felt her haul was quite good and needed to leave the train quickly to find a nearby town to withdraw the money from the bank before the card holders disembarked. Just as Lanky turned around, several policemen ran towards her in the carriage. Lanky realized something was wrong and sped up, quickly climbing onto the windowsill. Lanky prepared to jump out of the train window, but before she could, a young policeman swiftly pounced on her, grabbed her foot, and pulled her into the train. The young policeman held Lanky's foot tightly, and Lanky struggled desperately, unable to move, trying to break free. Seeing this, the other policeman rushed over to subdue Lanky. Lanky wouldn't let them succeed, so she kicked repeatedly, finally striking the young policeman in the chest. The young man, struck hard, fell backward and released Lanky's foot. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lanky ran to the other end of the carriage. The policeman couldn't outrun her, and seeing that she had gained some distance, she climbed back onto the window, preparing to jump. Just as Lanky was about to jump, she accidentally sneezed, and her body immediately transformed, becoming a quiet, seemingly weak girl. Lanky inwardly cursed. How could things have turned out like this at such a crucial moment? This was going to kill her. Lanky suddenly felt much weaker and struggled to climb onto the window. However, she didn't dare to jump as bravely as before. With a train moving at such a high speed, jumping from her current state would be certain death. Lanky hesitated, but the police behind her were about to arrest her. Just then, Yi-Shen and his companions, riding their somersault cloud, passed by. Luckily, Lanky had good eyesight and could see them high in the sky. She shouted at the top of her lungs, "Gods! Help! Someone's arresting me!" Her booming voice soared into the sky. Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong, with their excellent hearing, heard Lanky's cry. They descended from their somersault cloud and looked closer. There, they saw a quiet, delicate girl clinging to the window of a speeding train, crying for help. Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong, always eager to help, immediately used their somersault cloud to reach Lanky upon seeing the situation. Yi-Shen pulled Lanky down and placed her steadily on the cloud, then in the blink of an eye, they sped away from the train. This all happened in milliseconds. The passengers witnessed a miraculous scene. A living person vanished before their eyes, leaving them in disbelief. The police officers, in particular, rushed to the windows to see Lanky disappear through the window, but finding no one outside, they couldn't understand why. For Lanky, however, escaping the police was all that mattered. She checked her pockets for her spoils, all intact, and was overjoyed. Lanky clasped her hands in a gesture of gratitude to Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong, saying, "Thank you both for your kind assistance. I will repay you in the future." Lanky thanked Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong for saving her in her time of need. However, Yi-Shen was curious why several policemen were chasing after a girl like her, so he asked, "What's your name? Why did that happen?" Yi-Shen had only kindly saved Lanky, but Lanky's origins were still unknown. Lanky felt a connection with Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong and decided to tell them the truth about herself. Lanky said, "Have you ever heard of the bandit Lanky?" "My name is Lanky, yes, the infamous bandit Lanky." Yi-Shen found Lanky's words unbelievable. He looked her over, noting that she appeared to be a quiet and gentle girl. Lanky noticed Yi-Shen's suspicious gaze and explained, "Don't disbelieve me, I really am the bandit Lanky. I just sneezed, and then I turned into this. This isn't my original form." Yi-Shen had never heard of someone changing their appearance because of a sneeze before. Although Yi-Shen and Goku had heard these stories, they had never witnessed it firsthand. Yi-Shen and Goku rode their flying Nimbus back to Master Roshi's house. They had gone out to buy food for Master Roshi, since they had eaten all of his food last time. Master Roshi was waiting at the door. When Yi-Shen and Goku returned, he even brought back a quiet and cute little girl. Master Roshi loved young girls, and he was overjoyed to see Sprint. And so, Sprint and Goku stayed at Master Roshi's house. Master Roshi treated Sprint much better than Yi-Shen and Goku, giving him almost all the good things first. A few days later, after dinner, Master Roshi took Yi-Shen, Goku, and Sprint for a walk. They came to a beach, and Master Roshi suddenly decided to conduct a physical fitness test. Yi-Shen and Goku agreed, and the three of them prepared. At Master Roshi's command, Yi-Shen, Goku, and Nanki all began running simultaneously, with Master Roshi observing their progress. In this test, only Yi-Shen's physical condition was perfect, which pleased Master Roshi. However, Master Roshi was particularly worried about Lanky and Goku's physical condition, so he devised an idea to train Lanky and Goku's physical abilities. Chapter 469, A Small Space. Master Roshi believed that physical fitness was paramount. Regardless of magical abilities, exceptional physical strength was essential. He considered this extremely important, and to train Yagami and Goku's physical abilities, he shrunk his house into a tiny capsule, which he then placed inside. This capsule allowed them to carry it with him. While Master Roshi was shrunk and storing his house in the capsule, he found a suitable island nearby, one that he had carefully selected. Soon after, Master Roshi, along with Yagami, Goku, and Run, arrived at the island. Upon arrival, he immediately searched for a suitable training ground. After choosing a location, Master Roshi earnestly told Yagami, Goku, and Run, "I've gone to such lengths to stop your training, You must not slack off. Don't think this is a trivial matter, it's extremely important. Sun Wukong was always the most mischievous of the three. After Master Roshi finished speaking, Sun Wukong immediately replied, "Understood. We promise to train hard and won't let you down." Master Roshi glanced at Sun Wukong after hearing his words. "Yes," Sun Wukong said seriously. "You'd better do as you say. Because I see your physical abilities are far inferior to Yushin's. If you don't train hard, you'll fall far behind him." Sun Wukong immediately took Master Roshi's last sentence to heart. Master Roshi didn't let them relax for a moment. They had just arrived on the island. After resting for a while, Xiaoming began the training process. Among Yushin, Sun Wukong, and Lan Qi, Sun Wukong and Lan Qi needed the most training. Yushin asked Master Roshi for leave to check on the situation on the island, so Master Roshi let Sun Wukong and Lan Qi start training first. So Yushin summoned his flying nimbus and rode it into the sky. He then circled the island, surveying the surroundings. He discovered that the island actually had many inhabitants. After circling the island, he immediately returned to Master Roshi and the others to begin training. Yushin adapted quickly, mastering the training program arranged by Master Roshi. While the three of them trained simultaneously, Master Roshi noticed that only Yushin seemed relaxed and at ease, while Lan Qi felt extremely tired. He suddenly felt a discomfort in his nose and wanted to sneeze. This startled Yushin and Goku. They didn't want Lan Qi to transform into something else and cause them discomfort. Fortunately, Lan Qi didn't sneeze, otherwise he would have transformed again. After the warm-up, the formal training began. The first formal training program chosen by Master Roshi was the 100-meter test. Master Roshi chose a distance of 100 meters and had Yushin, Goku, and Lan Qi stand on the starting line, awaiting his command. After seeing them ready, Master Roshi shouted the starting signal, and all three tense up. Then, Master Roshi shouted start. Yushin, Goku, and Lan Qi all completed the 100-meter test at their fastest speed. Actually, Yushin, Goku, and Lan Qi felt quite good about themselves. They thought their speed was already very fast and would definitely satisfy Master Roshi. However, the result they faced was Master Roshi shaking his head at them and saying, "At this speed, goodness, it's absolutely not enough." Goku was the first to object, retorting to Master Roshi. "I think you're just talking without understanding the situation. You try it. If you can run faster than us, I'll have absolutely no objections." Surprisingly, Master Roshi agreed. Master Roshi leisurely approached and prepared at the starting line. Goku thought to himself, how fast can an old turtle like you be? In truth, Goku didn't believe Master Roshi could run faster than them, but when Master Roshi started running, Goku felt thoroughly humiliated. From the very start, Master Roshi's speed was incredibly fast, far exceeding Yushin's speed, let alone Goku and Lan Qi's. And then, after running the entire 100 meters, he took several seconds less than Goku and Yushin. This result left Yushin and Sun Wukong speechless, especially Sun Wukong. He found it utterly unbelievable. Sun Wukong suddenly felt a little ashamed and apologized to Master Roshi. "Okay, you win. I was being disrespectful just now, and I apologize to you here." Master Roshi accepted Sun Wukong's apology and demanded that Sun Wukong train diligently in the following sessions. Master Roshi particularly emphasized that Sun Wukong must correct his arrogant and slow habits. Through this demonstration, Master Roshi's image in Yushin and Sun Wukong's hearts was further elevated. Yushin and Sun Wukong's respect for Master Roshi increased considerably. As evening fell and night descended, it was time to rest. However, Master Roshi did not allow Yushin and Sun Wukong to slack off. After Sun Wukong and Yushin finished their dinner at Master Roshi's house, Master Roshi forcefully threw a stone outside his house. Yushin and Goku, unsure of Master Roshi's actions, asked, "Why did you throw a stone outside?" Master Roshi replied, "I threw a stone outside with a cabinet carved on it. You have 5 minutes to find it. Only then will you complete this training exercise and be allowed to sleep." Yushin and Goku thought it was a trivial matter and immediately agreed to go find the stone. Yushin and Goku searched diligently, meticulously examining every inch of the area around the house. They managed to find the stone within the 5 minutes Master Roshi had given them, otherwise, they wouldn't even be allowed to enter the house. Thus, today's training was temporarily over. They needed a good rest at night before continuing the next day's training. Meanwhile, after a good night's rest, Master Roshi felt his body slowly recovering. Chapter 470 Deception. Yi Shen, Master Roshi, and the other two slept soundly through the night. Before sunrise the next day, they all woke up at the designated time, ready for a new day of physical training. It was still early morning, and everyone still looked a little sleepy. Master Roshi prepared breakfast for the three young men, which they quickly finished, waiting for him to outline the new training plan. Seeing that everyone was ready, Master Roshi began. Today's training is very simple. Deliver milk to the island's residents, door to door. I've prepared the milk for you all. If you don't finish delivering it, or if you slack off, you will face severe punishment. Hearing Master Roshi's words, everyone immediately tense up. Initially, they thought this task was very simple, assuming that delivering milk was just simple physical labor that didn't require much thought. Therefore, they overlooked many details and ended up suffering many setbacks during the delivery. Shortly after Master Roshi finished assigning the task, he had everyone split up and get to work. Yi Shen reacted the fastest, rushing out first. Taking advantage of the cool night air, everyone was full of energy, even Lenki was particularly enthusiastic. Master Roshi felt slightly gratified seeing this, secretly chuckling to himself, because he knew just how insane the task he had assigned was. He needed a good rest now, lest the irritable Goku come looking for him later. While Yi Shen and Goku were diligently delivering milk, Master Roshi leisurely ate snacks and drank milk tea inside the house. Yi Shen and the others split up, each assigned the same number of milk deliveries, but each was responsible for a different area, which involved a bit of luck. When Yi Shen, Goku, and Lanki chose their areas, Yi Shen chose the most complex and scattered area, while Lanki was particularly lucky to choose the most concentrated and simplest area. Goku laughed and said to Yi Shen, "Haha, you chose the hardest one. You definitely can't beat me this time," Yi Shen replied calmly. "Then go ahead and try." Sun Wukong was quite confident, thinking he could beat Yi Shen with a bit of luck, but Yi Shen wasn't so easy to beat. This task tested not only physical strength but also mental agility. Yi Shen's mind worked quickly. He knew the ultimate shortcut to this task from the start. Actually, this task seemed simple, but it tested everyone's memory and adaptability. Yi Shen first found the trick. At the beginning of the task, he memorized the area he was responsible for and planned his milk delivery route. Yi Shen arranged it this way. He took all the milk and put it in the capsules Bulma gave him, so as not to waste too much energy, and then chose the shortest route, delivering the milk to each house along the way. Yi Shen completed this task in almost half the time Master Roshi had given him. When Yi Shen returned to Master Roshi's house after completing the task, he startled Master Roshi. Master Roshi looked at Yi Shen with surprise and asked, "Why are you back so soon? Did you give up?" Logically, this shouldn't be the case. In Master Roshi's eyes, Yi Shen was the most reliable and dependable person among them, yet Master Roshi didn't see any signs of Yi Shen being drenched in sweat. This was indeed very strange, and it's no wonder Master Roshi thought so. Yi Shen calmly lay down on the sofa and replied to Master Roshi, "No, I completed the mission." Master Roshi was extremely surprised. "But you only used half the time." Master Roshi had expected Yi Shen to be the fastest of the three, but he never expected him to be so fast. Alright. Now that Yi Shen has finished, it's up to Goku and Slanch. Slanch and Goku initially used the most honest method, delivering the goods door to door, which took a lot of time and wasted a lot of their energy. During this process, Slanch reacted first, then Goku, and slowly found the method Yi Shen had used. The final result was that Ranchi finished the task before Goku. After everyone completed their tasks, they returned to Master Roshi's house. When Ranchi returned to Master Roshi's house, he unsurprisingly saw Yi Shen, but he didn't see Goku. This surprised Ranchi, because he considered himself the weakest of the three. How could he be the second to finish the task? Ranchi asked Master Roshi, expressing his doubts. "Where's Goku? Why hasn't he come back yet?" Master Roshi said. "I thought that kid would finish quickly, but he's the slowest. Is he still using the dumbest method?" Sure enough, Goku was still delivering milk door to door. When Goku finished, he felt good about himself, thinking he should be the first to finish the task because he was diligently working on it. When Sun Wukong happily returned to Master Roshi's house, he was completely dumbfounded when he saw that Yi Shen and Slang were already there. He hadn't slacked off for a moment, he had clearly chosen the easiest area. Sun Wukong protested to Master Roshi, This doesn't make sense. Those two must have slacked off. They must not have delivered all the milk, they must have secretly poured it away halfway. This was Sun Wukong's guess, since there was no concrete evidence, and Master Roshi naturally wouldn't believe him. However, Sun Wukong persisted, demanding that Master Roshi check. Master Roshi couldn't refuse, so he led everyone to check the residential area before dawn. Slain retorted to Sun Wukong, "If you're not as skilled, you should admit it. Why make such a fuss?" "I don't know what you're thinking." Sun Wukong was speechless after Lanky's words. Once the test results came out, he had nothing more to say. Lanky and Yi Shen had completed the task diligently, but Sun Wukong couldn't understand how they had finished so quickly. "So how did they do it?" "I'm not bad at all," Yi Shen joked with Sun Wukong. "Because you didn't use your brain." "Haha," Sun Wukong complained to Master Roshi, annoyed. "Look at him, he's making fun of me." Master Roshi stroked his beard and explained to Sun Wukong. He was right. Every task requires thought, don't rely solely on physical strength. For example, with this task, you can allocate tasks according to the situation, instead of delivering them door to door. That wastes both time and energy. Chapter 471 Irritability. Sun Wukong immediately understood Master Roshi's words. He instantly realized why Yi Shen and Lanky had completed the task so quickly. It was indeed because he hadn't thought things through and had used the most inefficient method. Sun Wukong's mood instantly improved, and he immediately apologized to Lanky and Yi Shen. "Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I misunderstood you. You are indeed more capable than me. I apologize, and you must accept it." Seeing Sun Wukong's pitiful yet cheeky expression, Yi Shen simply glanced at him, nodded, and left. They had known each other for so long and were so familiar with each other that they both knew each other's tempers and flaws very well. Yi Shen didn't take Sun Wukong's words to heart at all. Meanwhile, on the way home, Lanky gave Sun Wukong a thorough dressing down, listing all his faults. The usually hot-tempered Sun Wukong was now obediently being lectured by Lanky, showing no impatience whatsoever. The scene was somewhat strange, yet also somewhat heartwarming. Master Roshi took Yi Shen, Goku, and Slange back home and let them rest for half an hour. During that time, Yi Shen and the others thought their training was over. However, to their surprise, Master Roshi assigned them a second, strange task, to help the local farmers hoe the fields. They were completely taken aback by this unexpected assignment. Even the usually composed Yi Shen showed a slight change in expression, let alone Goku and Slange's astonishment. Nevertheless, they accepted Master Roshi's task. They waited until dawn and then went to the nearby 09 residential area to find the local farmers and help them hoe the fields. During this process, they experienced true exhaustion. They had been delivering milk in the early hours of the morning, and now they had to immediately help farmers hoe the fields. They found it difficult to cope. In fact, Master Roshi was training them this way to prepare for the upcoming World Martial Arts Tournament, something he knew very well. For this competition, competitors from all over were undergoing intensive training. However, the three of them had just delivered milk in the early hours of the morning, and immediately faced another round of strenuous work. Master Roshi had also established a bizarre rule: Goku and Sprint were not allowed to plow the fields with their hands, they could only do so. This was their punishment for the previous round, and Yi Shen's reward. Only Yi Shen could barely keep up. Goku was in slightly better shape than Sprint, but Sprint was truly exhausted. He tried to sneak a break without Master Roshi noticing. But nothing escaped Master Roshi's eyes, and he quickly discovered Sprint's intentions and actions. Master Roshi personally supervised the three of them, much to the dismay of Goku and Sprint. Master Roshi was very dissatisfied with their performance. Although Yi Shen was still diligently working on the task, his speed had slowed considerably, which was not how Yi Shen should be doing. Goku and Sprint were even less satisfactory to Master Roshi. Master Roshi felt this couldn't continue and had to find a way to motivate the three of them. Master Roshi remembered the story of Goku's grandfather, a very inspiring tale he wanted to share. "Goku, are you feeling tired? Let me tell you a story." Everyone was excited to hear Master Roshi say he was going to tell a story. They could finally take a break, so they listened attentively. But when Master Roshi finished, Goku realized he'd been tricked. Master Roshi was telling the story of his grandfather, and Goku was moved to tears. Suddenly, he felt full of energy again. He wanted to emulate his grandfather, to be as excellent as him, so this little hardship was nothing. Even Slam was moved by Goku's grandfather's story and lost any thoughts of slacking off. Only Yi-Shen remained unmoved, because he was always very serious. Then, in the following process, everyone worked diligently, but only Yi-Shen completed the task quickly and well, without showing any signs of fatigue. This pleased Master Roshi greatly. In front of Goku and Slam, Master Roshi praised Yi-Shen highly. Master Roshi told Goku and Slan to learn from Yi-Shen. Goku and Slan both admired Yi-Shen, who could do everything perfectly and always received praise from Master Roshi. Yi-Shen, Goku, and Slan finally completed the task of tilling the land assigned by Master Roshi. After checking their work, Master Roshi found they had all met the requirements and told them they could rest for a while. Yi-Shen and the others were exhausted after completing the task, practically collapsing to the ground. Seeing them like this, Master Roshi felt sorry for them and said, "Training is temporarily over. Come back with me for breakfast." Wow, finally breakfast! Goku and Slan immediately became excited upon hearing that they could have breakfast. They jumped up and ran faster than anyone else, heading home. Master Roshi and Yi-Shen walked slowly behind. Not long after, Goku and Slam arrived at Master Roshi's house. They comfortably lay on the sofa, waiting for Master Roshi and Yi-Shen to return and make them breakfast. Goku and Slam were like two old men, sprawled on the sofa, watching TV. Yi-Shen and Master Roshi returned. Seeing Goku and Slam motionless like two corpses, Master Roshi guessed they must be exhausted and decided to make them something nutritious to replenish their energy. Master Roshi immediately went to the kitchen to cook. He was an excellent cook, and in a short while, breakfast was ready. Master Roshi brought out the steaming, fragrant breakfast and called out to Goku and Slam. "You two, come and have breakfast." Sun Wukong, smelling the aroma, seemed to come alive and immediately ran to the table, with Lanky following behind. Master Roshi had put pepper in the soup, and as Lanky reached for his bowl, he smelled the pepper. Lanky felt an itch in his scrotum, realizing he was about to sneeze again. Lanky's sudden appearance startled Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong, as they had heard the story of how a sneeze could transform him into something else entirely, even altering his personality. Sure enough, Lanky sneezed, and his entire appearance changed. His hair turned red, and his personality became extremely irritable, completely different from his previous quiet and elegant self. Lanky looked coldly at everyone, then glanced disdainfully at the breakfast Master Roshi had prepared, saying with disgust, "This looks awful. I'm going to eat out. Throw it all away." Chapter 472 The Number One Under Heaven. After Lanky finished speaking, she promptly picked up her own portion and threw it away. This action surprised everyone. Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong nervously watched Master Roshi, expecting him to be angry, but to their surprise, Master Roshi didn't react at all. Not content with throwing away her own food, Lanky glanced at the contents of Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong's bowls and said directly to them, "You're still eating this awful stuff? Come on, I'll take you to eat something delicious." Yi-Shen calmly ate his food, while Sun Wukong, already hungry, wolfed down his food. Lanky couldn't stand it anymore, so she picked up their bowls and threw them away. Sun Wukong was stunned. Lanky was far too violent. Lanky casually addressed the three of them, as if nothing had happened. "Alright, now you're all out of food, let's go out and eat." Lanky said this like a child, and Master Roshi didn't seem angry at all. In fact, he seemed to like Lanky's antics. Master Roshi said to everyone, "Since Lanky wants to eat out, let's go out." Goku muttered to himself. Master Roshi must have been henpecked when he was younger, Yi-Shen thought, it doesn't matter anyway. Goku is happy along with Lanky, and food outside is bound to be better. We can take advantage of Master Roshi again. So, Master Roshi took Yi-Shen, Goku, and Lanky out for a meal. After breakfast, Yi-Shen and Goku would begin their formal training. Their instructor would be Master Roshi. Master Roshi's previous training was just a warm-up before the formal training began, simply to improve their physical fitness. The upcoming training was in preparation for the World Martial Arts Tournament. After Yi-Shen and Goku finished breakfast, still early in the morning, Master Roshi led them to the island where Master Roshi lived. Master Roshi was the trainer Master Roshi had chosen for Yi-Shen and Goku from the very beginning. Master Roshi had trained many people and was therefore very experienced in this field, having trained several champions. Master Roshi had very high expectations for Yi-Shen and Goku. He was well aware of their strength and potential, which was why he was willing to put in so much effort to help them train. After Master Roshi introduced Yushin, Goku, and Slon to Master Roshi, the formal training began. The formal training was even more arduous than the previous warm-up exercises. Master Roshi, being very experienced, assigned training based on the individual circumstances of Yushin, Goku, and Slon, creating different training plans for each person. Although these training programs were quite tough, their benefits to them were undeniable. Master Roshi stayed with Yushin and Goku throughout, and seeing Yushin's rapid progress made him particularly gratified. In fact, Yushin and his friends could clearly feel their progress. Every time they used their abilities, they could feel that their powers had become much stronger, which became their motivation to persevere. Master Roshi was particularly strict and had very high expectations for everyone. He didn't go easy on Yushin and his friends just because Master Roshi was close to him. On the contrary, it was precisely because of this relationship that Master Roshi had even higher expectations and was more rigorous with him. Slam was the only girl among them, and Master Roshi didn't slack off on her because she was a girl. In this training session, Yushin and his friends not only gained stronger abilities but also learned the excellent character of perseverance. Facing Master Roshi's brutal training, Yushin, Goku, and Slam all persevered. Master Roshi was very satisfied with the result and told Master Roshi about it. Both of them were very pleased. Master Roshi grew to like these three young people more and more. They had all persevered through such arduous training. Yushin and Sun Wukong decided to demonstrate the results of their training to Master Wushin, so the three of them secretly agreed on a time. At the appointed time, Lanky and Sun Wukong mysteriously summoned Master Wushin. They led him to a secluded, deserted place with only a massive, enormous rock. Master Wushin, puzzled by their actions, watched them with a puzzled expression until Yushin, Sun Wukong, and Lanky simultaneously channeled their respective powers, combining their strengths. Then, something miraculous happened. The enormous rock began to shake, greatly exciting Master Wushin. To demonstrate their training results to Master Wushin, Yushin, Sun Wukong, and Lanky led him to a mysterious place, and then, working together, used their individual powers to move the massive rock placed before them as if it were nothing. When Master Wushin saw his students achieve such excellent results, he was overjoyed. These were the most diligent and talented students he had ever trained. Therefore, Master Wushin was even more confident that Yushin, Sun Wukong, and Lanky would definitely win the world's #1 martial arts tournament. The world's #1 martial arts tournament was about to begin. Not only were Yushin and his group training intensively, but the other competitors were also training even harder, all hoping to achieve outstanding results in this competition. The day before the competition, Master Wushin didn't arrange any training for Yushin and his group, but instead allowed them to rest well, to conserve their energy for the world's #1 martial arts tournament the next day. The day of the world's #1 martial arts tournament arrived quickly. Master Wushin led Yushin, Sun Wukong, and Lanky to the competition venue. Before entering the venue, Master Wushin instructed everyone, "Don't be nervous, and don't be impatient for quick success. I don't expect you to perform beyond your usual level, just perform at your normal level. You must be confident, and don't be discouraged by any difficulties." Yushin calmly replied to Master Wushin. "Don't worry, teacher, we will remember," Sun Wukong echoed. "Teacher, don't you believe in our strength?" Master Roshi tapped Sun Wukong on the head, admonishing him, "I'm not worried about anyone else. I'm most worried about you. I think you're overconfident, even arrogant. The worst thing in a competition is underestimating your opponent. Pride often leads to defeat. Especially for you, Wukong, never underestimate your opponents." Sun Wukong blushed, lowered his head, and whispered, "I understand, teacher. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels." Chapter 473 Savage Giant. Before the competition, Master Wu Tian gave them a warning, which reassured him considerably. The rest of the competition would depend on their own efforts. After seeing them off at the competition venue, Master Wu Tian parted ways with them and went to the stands to watch their matches. The world's #1 martial arts tournament officially began. More than 130 contestants from across the country participated, but the competition rules stipulated that only 8 could advance to the finals. The competition started with the preliminary rounds. All the contestants gathered in one place to draw lots to divide them into 8 groups for the competition. Yi-Shen and his 2 companions were very unlucky. They were drawn into one of the 8 groups, meaning that only one of them could have the chance to enter the finals. This result was very regrettable for Yi-Shen and his friends, as it was a waste of their strength. This was the last thing they wanted to see. In the first match of the preliminary rounds, Yi-Shen encountered a strong man. This strong man was incredibly burly and tall. Yi-Shen appeared rather short next to him. The strong man, upon seeing Yi-Shen, immediately looked down on him. He thought, how could someone with Yi-Shen's physique possibly be my match? The strong man said disdainfully to Yi-Shen. With your small frame, how could you possibly be my match? You'd better give up on the contest now, or you'll regret it later. Don't blame me if you get a bad beating, Yi-Shen said politely to the strong man. Just unleash your full potential. The spectators in the stands didn't have much faith in Yi-Shen. They were sighing for him. After all, judging from his appearance, Yi-Shen seemed to have no chance of winning. But only Master Wu Tian, who knew their strength, knew the final result. Master Wu Tian knew that Yi-Shen could easily defeat this strong man. The strong man was very dissatisfied with Yi-Shen's answer and said angrily, then don't blame me for being impolite. The strong man's expression was fierce. He couldn't stand Yi-Shen's calm demeanor and hoped his opponent would be afraid of him. The match began. The strong man was very confident, looking at the short Yi-Shen with disdain. But Yi-Shen wasn't ashamed because of this. He continued the match at his own pace. The audience initially thought Yi-Shen's match was going to be uneventful, but something unexpected happened. The strong man, relying on his physical advantage, launched an attack on Yi-Shen, but as soon as he got close, Yi-Shen dodged it and launched a swift counterattack, defeating the strong man with just one finger, leaving him no chance to get up. Yi-Shen's strength was immense, and Master Wu Tian in the audience was very satisfied with his power. The strong man was shocked and ashamed of his quick defeat. He tried to get up and fight Yi-Shen again, but he was suffering from severe internal injuries and had no strength to stand. Many spectators didn't even see what happened before the result of Yi-Shen's match was announced. Yi-Shen had defeated the strongman in a single round. The audience suddenly realized that Yi-Shen was a dark horse in this competition, a contestant who could not be underestimated. They immediately remembered him, and Yi-Shen became an overnight sensation after his first preliminary match. Yi-Shen's first preliminary match had ended, and he won easily and spectacularly. Meanwhile, on Sun Wukong's side, the competition was still ongoing. Sun Wukong's first opponent was a beautiful girl. At the start of the match, she tried to seduce him with her charms, but she didn't expect that Sun Wukong wouldn't fall for it at all. And Sun Wukong wasn't someone who liked beautiful women. The girl's plan backfired. Sun Wukong showed no mercy and fought normally. Within 10 rounds, Sun Wukong defeated his opponent and won the match. On Lan Ke's side, the match was still ongoing. Lan Ke's opponent was a masked man, whose strength could not be discerned from his appearance alone. Lan Ke's first match was a bit difficult. Her first opponent was extremely strong, and she fought many rounds before barely winning at the very end. Now, all 3 of them have finished their matches. Master Wu Tian came down from the audience and found Yi-Shen and the others, then commented on their first match. Master Wu Tian was quite satisfied with the results of their matches. Everything was developing as he had expected, and the results were as he predicted. Master Wu Tian said to the 3 of them, I've been watching your matches carefully. You all performed very well. It seems you've remembered what I told you. I hope you'll continue to do so. Although Yi-Shen and the other 2 had finished their matches, the competition was still ongoing, and the results of the other matches were not yet available. Yi-Shen, hearing Master Wu Tian's guidance, respectfully replied, Thank you for your praise, Master. What should we do next? I hope you can continue to guide us. Seeing Yi-Shen, such an outstanding person, so humble, Master Wu Tian was very pleased, feeling that this young man had unlimited potential. Master Wu Tian explained without reservation, actually, there are some tricks in the competition. For example, you can choose your fighting style according to your opponent's characteristics. You must know how to use tricks. This is the most crucial thing. Yi-Shen immediately understood Master Wu Tian's words, while Sun Wukong and Lan Ke were still deep in thought, slowly digesting what Master Wu Tian had said. The competition was still in full swing. Yi-Shen and his team had temporarily won the group stage. The three of them performed exceptionally well in the group stage, finishing their matches faster than other contestants. Therefore, they were granted an exception and were allowed to enter the finals simultaneously. Such a situation was a once-in-a-century occurrence, which astonished all the spectators present. At this moment, the great news spread like wildfire, and in an instant, Yi-Shen, Sun Wukong, and Lan Qi became the most famous heroes. Yi-Shen, Sun Wukong, and Lan Qi had all entered the finals, and everyone was very happy for them to go to the rest room to rest. The finals were about to begin. When Yi-Shen and the others arrived at the rest room, they found that all 8 finalists were already there. These contestants looked strangely shaped, but one in particular stood out, a giant who looked incredibly savage. Master Wu Tian went to inquire about the upcoming matches and received some information, which he then shared with everyone. Did you see that giant? That's Lan Qi's next opponent. After hearing Master Wu Tian's words, Yi-Shen, Sun Wukong, and Lan Qi all turned to look at the savage giant. Lan Qi looked at him with disgust. The savage giant was even picking his nose, and then immediately reached for food. Lan Qi felt like vomiting. He didn't want to even touch such an opponent. He was filthy. Chapter 474, Scene 4. This savage giant was particularly eye-catching. Yi-Shen noticed the incredibly strong muscles on the giant's body, indicating his immense strength, a power-type fighter. This was completely opposite to Lan Qi's characteristics. Lan Qi was agile and nimble, with fast attacks and strong defense, but her only weakness was her relatively small strength as a girl. Against such an opponent, she would be at a significant disadvantage. Furthermore, when Yi-Shen approached the savage giant, he smelled a strange, unpleasant odor emanating from him and immediately moved away. Lan Qi was unlucky to encounter such an opponent, and Yi-Shen cautioned her to be careful. Lan Qi, you must defeat your next opponent as quickly as possible. Delaying will be detrimental to you, Yi-Shen said. Lan Qi nodded, understanding his meaning. The first final match was about to begin, with Lan Qi facing off against the savage giant. Lan Qi stepped onto the stage, remembering Yi-Shen's instructions to finish the match quickly. When the referee blew the whistle, the match began, and Lan Qi launched the first attack on the savage giant. Lan Qi's attack speed was extremely fast, and the savage giant, slow to react, was constantly being beaten back by Lan Qi, although Lan Qi wasn't very strong. However, he struck the savage giant's vital points every time. Before the match was even halfway through, Lan Qi had defeated the savage giant, winning the first match. Lan Qi was very happy. Having just won the match, he ran off the stage to find Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong in the lounge. When Lan Qi arrived at the lounge, he only saw Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong. Master Roshi was nowhere to be seen. Lan Qi had clearly seen Master Roshi in the lounge before going on stage. How could he be gone after coming off stage? Lan Qi asked Yi-Shen and the others, Yi-Shen and Wukong, have you seen Master Roshi? I haven't seen him. Do you know where he went? He was just here. After Lan Qi finished speaking, Yi-Shen and Sun Wukong searched the lounge for Master Roshi, but couldn't find him. Sun Wukong said in confusion, that's strange. He was right next to me just a few minutes ago, how come I can't find him now? Lan Qi pressed, didn't you see where he went? Sun Wukong replied. No, we've been watching your match the whole time, we haven't been paying attention to anything else. Yi-Shen's sense of smell was very keen, he could smell Master Roshi's unique scent in the air of the lounge. So Yi-Shen said to everyone, I smelled Master Wu-Shen's unique scent here, so I guess he must be nearby and hasn't gone far. Let's wait for him here. Hearing Yi-Shen say this, Sun Wukong and Lan Qi felt much relieved. They waited in the lounge, watching the next match. Soon, the next match began, with Yamcha and Jackie Chan about to take the stage. Jackie Chan got up and headed to the match area. As he left the lounge, he passed by Lan Qi. When Jackie Chan passed by Lan Qi secretly glanced at him. Lan Qi felt that Jackie Chan looked somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before, but he couldn't remember. Lan Qi thought he was just imagining things. Yi-Shen went to the restroom and returned to the lounge feeling very hungry. He needed to find something to eat. Fortunately, the lounge had prepared plenty of food for all the contestants. Yi-Shen sat down to eat. Next to Yi-Shen was another contestant eating. This contestant was a monster. Lan Qi, seeing that Yi-Shen was eating just as much as the monster contestant, felt quite helpless. Chen had always been seen as a mature, stable, and reliable figure, but seeing this scene made Lan-Ki suddenly uneasy. A while later, the match between Yamcha and Jackie Chan finally began. The audience was ready to watch. The previous matches had been very exciting, and they hoped the next match would be just as thrilling. However, this match seemed to be going to disappoint them. Yamcha's opponent, Jackie Chan, Lee Zeos, seemed to lack any fighting spirit. He appeared listless, which puzzled Yamcha. They were both top 8 contestants, quite strong, and the match hadn't even started yet. How could he lack fighting spirit? The match began, and Yamcha launched an attack first, but to Yamcha's surprise, Jackie Chan seemed to have no fighting spirit. No matter how Yamcha attacked, he couldn't land the hit. This puzzled Yamcha greatly. What Yamcha found most strange was that Jackie Chan, despite his apparent lack of fighting spirit, always managed to dodge his attacks. Frustrated, Yamcha, having no other option, Yamcha decided to use his signature move, but it was quite taxing. His signature move, called the Wolf Fang Fist, was incredibly powerful. However, to Yamcha's surprise, Jackie Chan easily dodged it. Yamcha felt Jackie Chan's strength was so immense that he couldn't even gauge his opponent's true power. During their duel, Yamcha initially attacked, while Jackie Chan simply defended, easily dodging each attack. Later, Yamcha, having exhausted his energy from the offensive, was caught off guard by Jackie Chan's attack. Jackie Chan seized the opportunity, launching his own attack while Yamcha was exhausted. At this point, Yamcha had neither the strength nor the will to fight Jackie Chan, and was forced to retreat, ultimately losing the match. The match ended in Yamcha's defeat. Time flew by, and the fourth match was about to begin. This match belonged to Chen, and his opponent was the monster fighter he had been eating with earlier, named Kirin. Chen prepared to go on stage. This was his second match since entering the finals, and the intensity of this match was a bit physically demanding, but fortunately, Chen's physical condition was always excellent, so he didn't need to worry too much about stamina. Chen went on stage, and the monster fighter Kirin also stepped onto the arena. A fierce fire burned in their eyes, both were eager to defeat the other, and their fighting spirit was high. However, at that moment, the weather turned against them. The weather changed suddenly. Just moments before, the sky was clear, but in the blink of an eye, dark clouds gathered, and a torrential downpour began without warning, giving no one time to prepare. Because the rain came so suddenly, it was a significant disadvantage for an open-air competition like this. All the spectators in the stands had no choice but to leave their seats and find shelter from the rain. With the audience leaving the stands, the organizers had no choice but to temporarily suspend the match. Chapter 475 officially begins. The torrential rain soaked Chen completely, leaving him looking somewhat disheveled. He had planned a quick victory, but the downpour disrupted his plans. His match against the monster fighter, Kirin, had to be abruptly ended, and Chen had to rest. However, he never relaxed. He couldn't forget his goal, to win the championship. The day was drawing to a close when Master Wushan led Chen, Goku, and Lan-Ki to their pre-booked hotel. Chen and Goku returned to the hotel to rest. They discovered that most of the guests at this hotel were competitors from the upcoming World Martial Arts Tournament. This was because the hotel was closest to the competition venue, and the competitors had chosen it to avoid delays. Master Wushan's reasoning was the same. As the saying goes, many people talk a lot. The hotel lobby was crowded in the evening. With everyone free after the day's matches, everyone was relaxed and chatting amongst themselves. The more people there were. Some people love to boast and talk behind others' backs. Some less than ideal players have already started gossiping. Coincidentally, Chen, Sun Wukong, and Lan-Ki were having coffee downstairs when they overheard a group of people at the next table excitedly discussing something. They heard one of them start by whispering, "Hey guys, did you guys notice something really interesting during the day?" The others asked, puzzled. "What's interesting?" the person asked, deliberately being mysterious, only revealing half the story. "This year's competition is quite different from previous ones." "What's different?" the man said exaggeratedly. "Have you seen a monster contestant this year?" someone blurted out. "Yes, I saw it. I saw that monster. It's so ugly, just looking at it makes me sick," the man exclaimed, slamming his hand on the table. Yes, that's the monster. The disgusting one. It's filthy and smelly, like an unevolved monster. How dare such a lowly creature participate in this competition? It's an insult to us all, others echoed his sentiments, the discussion growing louder and louder, and more people joined in, making the situation somewhat difficult to control. Yi-Shen felt particularly uncomfortable hearing these people gossiping. He had always disliked people who spoke ill of others behind their backs, especially since these people were judging others solely by Kira's appearance, a truly despicable attitude. Just as Yi-Shen was about to stop them from continuing their nonsense, the sound of fighting suddenly came from behind. Just a minute earlier, Karen had come to the hotel lobby looking for food and found a group of people sitting together, seemingly discussing something. Curious, Karen went over to listen. When some people realized the protagonist of their story had appeared, they wisely left the area, while others were too engrossed to notice Karen's arrival. As Karen listened, something felt off. He realized the person they were talking about was himself. Moreover, he heard them using extremely offensive language to insult him. Karen was furious. He wanted to teach them a lesson, to show them his power, and to make them understand that he wasn't someone to be trifled with. Karen kicked them from behind, knocked them to the ground, and beat them. Yi-Shen initially thought they deserved it, that it would be good for Karen to teach them a lesson. At least it would teach them a lesson. But gradually, Karen, filled with rage, became bloodthirsty. A mere beating wasn't enough to quell his anger, he wanted to kill them all. These people were truly foolish. Knowing they couldn't defeat Karen, they continued to verbally provoke him, causing his emotions to become increasingly unstable. Kieran lost control of his emotions, and consequently, the strength in his hands. He beat the most hateful person until he was covered in blood. Seeing that things were going terribly wrong, and that this could lead to someone's death, Yi-Shen had to intervene. If he didn't stop Kieran from obeying, there might be a corpse in the hotel lobby tonight, something Yi-Shen and his group didn't want to see. Yi-Shen intervened, and Kieran realized someone was stopping him. It was his opponent from earlier that day. Seeing that things were going badly, Yi-Shen tried to stop Kieran, preventing him from killing someone out of hatred. Fortunately, Yi-Shen intervened in time and stopped Kieran's actions. The matter ended there. Yi-Shen had stopped Kieran. Those who were about to be killed by Kieran took the opportunity to escape, and the crowd dispersed. The hotel lobby returned to calm, as if nothing had happened. Yi-Shen, Sun Wukong, and Lan Ke returned to their rooms to rest and recharge for the next day's match. The night passed quietly, and Yi-Shen, Sun Wukong, and Lan Ke slept soundly. The night, after the rain, was very cool, and a gentle breeze blew in through the window, lulling them into their dreams. Sun Wukong and Yi-Shen slept well, feeling refreshed and full of energy. They ordered breakfast, ate it in their room, and then prepared to pack up and head to the competition venue. Due to a sudden downpour yesterday, the final match of the World Martial Arts Tournament, the one between Yi-Shen and Killer, had to be suspended. This match was to be rescheduled for today, and thankfully, the weather was exceptionally sunny, so it seemed unlikely to rain again. The organizers began rearranging the venue, and everyone was busy preparing. Even the finalists were working diligently. Goku and Lan Ke were warming up in the practice room, very focused on today's match. The organizers quickly got everything sorted out, and the match was about to officially begin. All the competitors arrived at the rest room to prepare. This match was between Killer and Yi-Shen. Goku sat in the rest room with only 5 minutes left before the match. He only saw Killer in the rest room, he didn't see Yi-Shen. There were only 5 minutes left until the match, but Yi-Shen was nowhere to be seen. Goku became anxious. If Yi-Shen missed the match time, it would be automatically considered a forfeit. Seeing that Yi-Shen was missing, Goku quickly told Lan Ke, asking him to go find Yi-Shen together. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.